Jones is the threat there. He's had a 99-yard kick return for touchdown earlier this year. The 5'8", 190-pound sophomore from Columbus, Ohio, and we are underway. Melhoff drills it deep to the left corner and into and through the end zone. So Minnesota will start from their own 20, and they start the day with a very senior, experienced quarterback, and that is Brian Cupido. He missed the Wisconsin game a year ago. Tony Mortensen went all the way in that day, but Minnesota didn't need to throw it a whole lot. They ran the ball throughout the day. Cupido, outstanding. 50-year senior, career 44 touchdown passes against 19 interceptions, and he's third in Minnesota history. They'll start with a single tailback, and that is Amir Penix. And Cupido, play action fakes. He's got a tight end wide open. Missed assignment for Wisconsin, and down the far sideline is Matt Spaeth, one of the captains. He gets a big gainer, and a breakdown there defensively. We'll talk about it in a moment. Let's set the Minnesota offense. Cupido is a fifth-year senior at quarterback. Penix, the running back, and Valentine doesn't get a lot of carries as the fullback Logan Payne, and Wheelwright outstanding in the receiver position. They've got an offensive line that has Tyson Swigert, a fifth-year senior, that anchors that offensive line for the Gophers. It is a first down, and the ball is marked at the 36. This time Cupido does hand it off and knife him through a hole in the middle before being brought down by Rogers in the secondary. Is Penix picking up about 7 on first down. Let's set the Badger defense for you. It's been a very good one that is among the best in the country at 12.8 points per game. Monty, Chapman, and Hayden up front, along with Shaughnessy. The linebackers Levy and Casillas flank Mark Zalewski in the middle, and the secondary is strong and experienced. Minnesota goes big on their set here, second and short, and close to a first down. Penix forward progress going to have it. Let's go back to that first play, Nelly, and what happened that the tight end comes that wide open?
Well, a lot of times when he goes in motion, they're playing zone coverage. Guys just don't slide over far enough to cover into the flat area. In that time, an outside backer has to slide because a strong safety started out on the right side of the formation. When he goes in motion, the backer's got to cover. Just didn't slide out far enough and blew his assignment.
2 quick first downs for Minnesota to start the contest, and they have it marked at their own 47-yard line. 1st and 10. We're just over a minute and 20 seconds into the ball game, and the Gophers. Cupido will hand it off deep to Penix. Has a little seam on the left side coming up, and holding the ball's loose, picked up by Wisconsin, and off to the races. The Badgers are going to have the early lead. Jack Ikaguanu on the fumble recovery and a touchdown.
Mike, we saw a lot of different things from Minnesota in that first drive. Different formations, motion, run, and pass. Wisconsin slowly adjusted, started to get a little penetration, came upfield, trying to bring guys down, and one guy's there. You're taught as a second and third guy to come in and try and rip out that football. That's exactly what happened. Ike picks it up, and off he runs. Great play and recognition by Jason Chapman to come in there and punch that out.
Chapman is the guy that comes over and does knock it loose. We'll talk about it more in just a second. Melhoff going to try to add the extra point. And, you know, for Minnesota, maybe it's a little bit of here we go again. Extra point is good, and Wisconsin leads at 7-0. He's held up on the run to the outside. Penix is held up by the first tackler, and then what are you trained to do? What happens at that point?
Well, the second and third guys coming in are trained to come in and try and punch that ball. Hit him high, hit him hard, because you got somebody down low already. He's got his legs, he's not going anywhere. You see Chapman coming, and boom, he just rips right through there with his left arm and punches it out. A lot of times a receiver or running back will be fighting for yards, and that ball pops off their chest. That's the third point of penetration that you can get on. If you can get that off, punch it out, off it goes.
Penix is a junior from Newark, New Jersey. He's a little smallish for a running back, but he didn't have that ball secured very closely either.
Yeah, we saw that last week with Hubbard trying to fight for some extra yards too, trying to get off, and it comes again off that third point of security there, and then you get your hand in there, it's an easy punch out. But Ike Iguano, again, coming up to make a tackle. He's had a stellar year so far in 2006 and picks it up, runs for the score.
It's kind of a dream for a defensive back to see that
absolutely.
ball bouncing up and coming to you. You only get one shot at it to pick it up on the go, right? Then you got to go down.
Yeah, if you can scoop and score, great. But if you can't pick it up, you better get down and cover on it. You bet.
Well, we saw that last Sunday. You know, some guys are made to pick up balls like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes offensive linemen that we saw like Sunday last week in the Packer game, They don't have that ability.
No. You know, there's a reason why you have what's termed skill players and then linemen. Not the linemen aren't skilled at what they do, but when you're 6'6", it's hard to reach down to the ground that way.
It's a 50-yard touchdown return for Ike Aguanu, and the Badgers lead it 7-0. And the Gophers were shell-shocked in the way they lost the game against Penn State at the Metrodome last weekend. They score late and force overtime. They score on the first possession of overtime. They think the game's over on a fourth down by Penn State. Kind of a delayed interference call. They had missed their extra point. Penn State goes in and wins the game. And now this happens. How much are they tenuous right now on that Minnesota sideline? How shaky are they?
Well, I think right there you see things are a little bit shaky, and Coach Mason, and some of the things I've read and saw with his interviews, is that team was devastated last week by what happened. They thought they won the game. They're running off the sideline celebrating. There's the flag. They got to come back and regroup. And when you're at that high and all of a sudden you lose the game and you get that low, it's very, very difficult to get up for another game. The only thing that they've got going for them here is they're on the road. They can regroup as a team and really come together.
Melhoff will strike it again. A minute and 35 seconds into the game. It's Melhoff's second kickoff. This one will have a chance to be returned if they choose to. No, lands 4 yards deep and rolls through the back. So again, they'll start at the 20-yard line with Brian Cupido, their quarterback. I guess this is where experience would come into play. You're going to say something in the huddle?
Yeah, you know, and a guy like that, they look to him a lot because he is experienced. He's been out there. He's been through every possible situation you can think of. He's got to rally the troops now because they're going to be looking to him. He's got to come out and perform on the second drive.
His statistical work this year is almost identical to John Stocko's.
Right.
Both fifth-year seniors, both very efficient with the ball, seldom turn it over. See what Minnesota here does. They were moving the ball first time through, and they'll hand it off right away to Penix, who has a big seam and is out to the 35-yard line before Zalewski gets help in the secondary. With Jonathan Casillas also in on the tackle, but a big pickup.
Yeah, big hole for him right there. Great blocking up front by his line, but what Mason did right there is went back to him. Said, we trust you. We know it was a mistake. We're going to get you the ball and get you some positive yardage, but Zalewski as a middle backer has got to come downfield harder. He's got to fill that gap. He can't get driven out of the hole like he did on that last play.
Langford in on the tackle, gets help from Zalewski and Casillas. It's a first down, and the ball is at the 35. Cupido on the play action. Wants to look deep, steps up in the middle. Might get the line of scrimmage back on the keeper after the deep route was covered up. And one of the things Minnesota does so well is disguise their run pass. They did it there, but the Badger secondary stays home.
Yeah, they're playing man coverage with basically the two safeties free, just spying those two wide receivers, and the corners did a tremendous job downfield. Got some penetration up there. They created a running lane, but when Hayden recognized that that's what happened, as Cupido stepped up in there, he got off his man and made the tackle.
It is second down, and we'll call it 9. Ball marked at the 35-yard line. Single back. Two receivers to the top, and now a slot and a receiver near side for Cupido. Badgers come on a blitz, throws it left side on the sideline. Ball caught right against the boundary by Eric Decker, a redshirt freshman from Cold Spring, Minnesota, who had 9 catches coming into the ball game.
That's a good play call for a first down. You got Langford out here playing man-to-man coverage again, just a 5-step drop and throw. It's just a timing route, but those out routes are tough to cover as a corner because it is a timing route. You're trying to see him, is it going to be a little hitch and go, and if he releases, I got to cover down. So he's 3 yards off, left him open.
It is a first down, ball just shy of midfield at the Minnesota 48-yard line. Cupido calls for motion and now fakes to the left side. Deep drop, steps away from Hayden, and now wants to throw left side, throws it away. And the Badgers have done a good job of staying at home. As I said earlier, great on the play action. So what are the keys in the secondary to not bite on that play action?
The first thing that they're looking at is the exposed lineman, and whether it's a guard or tackle. Does he pop up? If he pops up, I know it's pass. So I got to get to my drop pretty easily from that standpoint. And then it's just reading the routes. They try to do a little misdirection, take them from the defensive side. All the linemen are slifting left. The quarterback rolls out, and then he decides to turn and boot. And again, a timing route with a crossing receiver. Tremendous coverage downfield, though. Didn't have anybody open to throw to.
Second down and 10, and the Badgers defensively string it out near side and in the backfield, and there is the speed of Jonathan Casillas.
Yeah, you got Casillas and you got Shaughnessy coming off the end, but a blitz by Casillas, he gets through there wide open, untouched, and off to the races you go. And you're right, our linebacking core for the Wisconsin Badgers is tremendously fast. That's one thing that Coach Bielema has really had a lot of pride in. He coached them the last couple years. These guys have stepped up, albeit young, but they've stepped up.
Well, Wisconsin, as beefy as they are on the offensive side of the football across that offensive line, they're smaller and much quicker defensively at the linebacker and defensive end positions. Shaughnessy is only a 230-pounder as a defensive end. It is 3rd and 12, and Cupido throws right side. Got to make a tackle here. Stepping up Ike, and he yanks him down, and that's short of a first down. It brings up 4th down, and a good open field tackle by Ike Iguana.
Yeah, very good. He run in motion to make sure they see what they got. Is it zone or is it man? Once Cupido knows it's man, he knows the guy that he's going to go to. Ike Iguana does a good job backpedaling again. He's off to make sure it's not a hitch and go. Once the ball is caught, he comes up and makes another open field tackle.
It is 4th down and 4. This is looks like a punt safe for Wisconsin because it is in one of those areas where you could potentially fake it. He does punt it, and it carries down near the 12-yard line and caught by Hampton. He was a little unsure. Again, looking into the sun in the early parts of the ball game. He had a little trouble with that, but does pull it in. And Wisconsin will start their first offensive series at the 13-yard line.
Yeah, one thing that he needs to do when that ball is kicked, if it turn over, it's going to go deep. If it doesn't turn over and float, he's got to slide up a little bit. He read it, but he read it a little bit late.
Coming out onto the field in the north end zone is the Wisconsin volleyball team. Badgers are currently ranked 14th in the country, beat Purdue last night at the Fieldhouse, a 9th-ranked Purdue unit, swept them in 3 straight. Your next chance to catch Badger volleyball in action is Sunday afternoon when they host Indiana at the UW Fieldhouse, and the game time is set for 1 o'clock for that game. That's the Wisconsin volleyball team. What a tradition they have established. One of the nation leaders in attendance every year, and no different again this year, and some incredible talent on that roster. Also want to remind you that we'll be back in these same locations 2 weeks from tonight. That is Saturday, October the 28th, when the Fighting Illini of Illinois come to Camp Randall Stadium for more Big Ten football. And that is at 10:30, 2 weeks from tonight, only on Wisconsin Public Television. Minnesota, in the start of this contest, moved the ball a little bit in both possessions. The fumble stops the first run, Nelly, and then on the second time, the Badgers bow their neck near midfield and get a defensive stop.
Yeah, but one thing that Minnesota is known for over the last few years under Mason's direction is they throw a lot of different things at you early. And what the coaches are doing up in the press box is looking at that. What types of defense are we getting? How are they adjusting to our motion? How do they line up in different fronts that we give them? And then they pare down their game plan as they go. So we know this is going to work in this situation. 2nd and long, 3rd and long, 1st down plays, 4th down and 1 to go. All those different things, they have probably 20 to 30 plays that they want to get in there early to make sure that they know the game plan Wisconsin has and how theirs is going to match up next to it.
Nelly, when you and I met with Badger football coach Brett Bielema yesterday, he talked about what they learned about P.J. Hill last week, and that is that when he goes on a bigger run, and he had 2 plus 50 last week, they've got to get him out because he was tired, and that will lend them to use the changeup. I think from talking to Brett yesterday that we'll see a little bit more of Lance Smith, and we'll talk about what that means for Minnesota and for Wisconsin in just a minute. We'll get a whistle here before the play is snapped, and I don't think the ball was whistled to be in play.
We'll start on the ready.
Changes possession, now the clock starts, and this time the clock operator did not start it, so I think that's what the whistle was right there.
Dennis Lipsky is the referee. Gives it just a second. That change-up dynamic that Wisconsin can bring. Big and bruising P.J. Hill and fast and quick Lance Smith.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you talk about Minnesota paring down their offensive stuff. That's the same thing that Wisconsin has to do depending upon the personnel they have in there. And Lance is one change they need to be aware of.
P.J. Hill, again, very good with a cutback. Finally pulled down by Mike Sherrills. He's a captain for Minnesota and also Big Ten Player of the Week that we featured in the Open just a few minutes ago. Badger offense, pretty much the same as it's been all year. They have been, knock on wood, injury-free since the season began. Vanden Heuvel, Urbick, Coleman, Kemp, Thomas up front. They are flanked. There's the offensive line. You saw earlier Stocco in that backfield. And the Badgers have really found some weaponry at the tight end position. In Travis Beckham has been the most explosive of the receivers. Had an outstanding day last week. It is 2nd and 4, and again they go Hill off the left side. Nice cut back into the secondary, running through a tackle into the 28-yard line. Just a tough runner. Talk about that because that's what Minnesota has to face today. They're led on the defensive front by a fairly small group by comparison. 235 at one defensive end, 265, 285 in the middle, right in that range. And the linebackers, Mike Sherrills, is outstanding. He is one of the captains and had a 15-tackle performance last week against Penn State. The secondary, Banks, Jones, Barber, and Harris. That is who John Stocco looks at in the secondary for Minnesota today, but not so far. He's just running the ball with P.J. Hill bruising again through the first wave, and the Badger offensive line doing their job.
Yeah, one thing that Wisconsin did there, something they haven't shown, they actually brought Joe Thomas over from the left tackle, lined him up as a defensive or a tight end position. Crooks was in there. He stepped off the line, then went in motion. Thomas is covered by a wide receiver, but you can do that. So you still have all the options as far as your pass, but you put your beef on the right side where the two guards and the tackle on the right side of Urbic and Vanden Heuvel, a couple of their run stoppers right there are getting up there and mixing things up.
It's another first down, and Hill with a big hole up the middle, cruising into the secondary, runs through 2 layers of tackles and gets near the midfield stripe. And right now it's men against boys up front and with Hill running the football. Now they're saying maybe the ball was loose, and the officials talk it over right at the midfield stripe. Minnesota is pointing that they have the ball, and here's the explanation.
Ruling on the field, the runner's knee was down, 2nd down.
That's the referee making the call on the field, Dennis Lipsky. Now right next door to us is the replay booth. Minnesota can throw a challenge flag if they choose, but every play is reviewed. And if the Badgers snap the ball, it's a moot point. And they do. Hill, again on the right side, into the secondary, tries to make one man miss. Dominic Jones does a good job, and that is not an easy go of it for a member of the secondary. 5'8", 190 coming up on P.J. Hill.
Right, P.J. Hill is a big load, and he's a guy, if you're going to come up on him and try and tackle him high, he'll run you over. If you're going to try and go low and drop your head, he'll dance around you. But tremendous football player in recognition. It's tough to get him down. And
that was the play before where they thought they had a fumble, and from that angle, I don't know that you could tell. Hill now a little winded, and that's what Brett talked about yesterday. Need to get him out when he shows signs of being tired. And they bring in Dajuan Rowan, the senior, who is the lone back in the backfield, and he'll carry to the left side, stretching it out. Good defensive play on the stretch out. Willie Vandesteeg, a 255-pound sophomore, played off the block and makes a good tackle.
And what Wisconsin, when they're going off that way, you see all the linemen step left, get going, and they're bringing a blitz, so that what Minnesota's trying to do is bring another guy that you can't block, and they did a good job of that, fighting off blocks and getting upfield to penetrate and bring down Rome. But a good defensive call and good execution.
It is 2nd down and long. 2nd and 12 is the call. Rowan is still the tailback. Badgers run 2 receivers to the top and 1 near side. 6:45 to play in the first. Wisconsin leading 7-0. Minnesota shows blitz. Badgers pick it up. Stocco has all the time he could want. Throws deep left side and throws it away. He had Luke Swan out there. Swan is not the deepest threat on the team.
Right.
And he ends up throwing it away.
Well, good protection up front. First where it starts with the O-line. They pick up a blitz, and then they actually drop a defensive lineman off into zone coverage for that little delay route from the running back. Swan's running downfield, but it's a coverage sack on Minnesota's secondary there. Stocco had no place to go, chose the right decision, and threw it away. Unlike last week where he just launched it and was intercepted.
It is 3rd down and 12 for Wisconsin. On 3rd down, they're 44% on the season, and Minnesota defensively allows 42%. Stocco handles the snap, gets it over the middle. It is caught, and it's going to be very close to the first down. Swan with a beautiful catch in traffic. When he was tackled, he ended up going forward. I think he's going to be just a hair shy. We'll get a measurement.
You don't see a shotgun from Wisconsin too often, probably for that fact right there. A bad snap, but Stocco gathers it, gets it in, and that's what they love about Swan so much. He will catch the ball in traffic. He secures it. When they went to tackle him, hit him hard, but they actually drove him to the ground and gave him an extra yard.
Yeah, Barber and Banks combined on the tackle, and Barber rather, had a little bit more influence on it. He was pushing upfield rather than downfield for Minnesota. There's the measurement. Can't get closer than that, and it is short by just that much. Well, Brett is not so good on fourth down. He's 1 of 6 as a college coach in a fourth down situation, but I think this is one you're going to see their 7th attempt at a fourth down right here.
And he's a guy that, he has all the confidence and faith in the linemen and John running the offense and then the running backs to get this first down. Sure beats a 4th and 3 that he didn't have any problem calling in one of the first games of the season. I think this is an easy call for him. He's aggressive, he's a go-getter, and he wants his guys to get the job done and give him a chance to do it right here.
Are you a sneak fan or a give it to the tailback fan here?
Well, it depends on if you got your 2 D linemen in the A gaps, which is the both gaps between your center and your guard, I probably wouldn't sneak it. I'd go off tackle a little bit with your running back. If they open that up, that's an easy first down for Wisconsin.
So you like the sneak where they're set up now, don't you?
Yes.
Now that linebacker sneaks up in there. They're going to give it off. Hill dances. Oh, he's got a lot of room. He's got a lot of room to the 20, to the 10, to the 6-yard line. First down, Wisconsin. There was just no contain on the outside, right?
No, they thought they were going inside. That's where they run a pinch. So everybody steps down the inside gap. Defensive end gets caught down there, but number 2, Dominic Jones, showing some speed to get down P.J. Hill down there. But I tell you, you pull a guard, you bring guys over, think you're going up the middle. That's exactly what Minnesota thought. They faked the blitz up front with a linebacker, and I don't know if Stocco audible to run off tackle or not, but it was a good offensive call and great execution.
Minnesota gives up 164 yards a game on the ground, and Wisconsin's P.J. Hill already has 73 today, and a touchdown.
Steve Davis, number 92 for the Minnesota defense, came off, got off his block. PJ gets the ball, and we talked about him earlier in the game already. He'll run you over, but he's also got some feet to make you miss. He sees it, and that's an incredible cut. Actually, number 70 there, Todd Meisel, was a guy who came free. PJ sees it, sees the daylight to the right, gets in there for the score.
Well, and as Melhoff kicks the extra point, that's what makes Hill special, isn't it? The fact that he's got feet to go along with that big butt and the big body he brings to the table.
He'll run over a D lineman, he'll run over a linebacker, he'll make a DB miss if they drop and go low. And those guys are taught as a defensive back to go low on the size of a guy like P.J. Hill, because you take out his legs, he can't go anywhere. The big guys will hit you high, but he's low enough and he's strong enough to power through those tackles.
How about a 10-play, 87-yard drive in 4:59? Now, we talked about Minnesota's psyche prior to the game. After their heartbreaking loss last week to Penn State, they played tough and lost tough games so far this year. How fragile is the psyche now, down 14-0, less than 10 minutes into the game?
Well, and it's something that the Wisconsin defense has scored. The offense had a completely sustained drive for about 5 minutes there. This is something where the coaches have to gather that team on the sideline now and say, hey, we're okay. It's 2 plays. We can get back into the game. But Coach Bielema and his staff are saying, you know what, this team is on their heels. Let's bury them early so we can enjoy this game, and we'll put this thing out of reach before they can respond.
One of the impressive things about Wisconsin, not just in their 5-1 record, is how well and how easily they have handled the lower level teams in the Big Ten. I'm talking about the huge win at Indiana, lopsided. A lopsided win last week against Northwestern. Those have been the impressive elements of the season to me, is that once they got their feet under them in the non-conference season, despite losing at Michigan, they went to Indiana and buried them.
Yeah.
And they came home and buried Northwestern a week ago.
Yeah, and those are the things that you have to do. If you're going to be a top caliber team in this conference and in the country, you can't play to your competition. You got to play to your level, force them to raise up their game, and if they can do it, great, you've got a ball game. If they can't, as in the case of Indiana Northwestern and what it starts out here with Minnesota, you got to keep doing the things you do so well. But when you look at that Michigan game for the Badgers, they played very well for 2.5 quarters. And then I think you saw the defense for Michigan step up. They got a lot of pressure on Stocco. But there's a lot of good things that this Badger football team did that I think they've carried forward with them, and they've improved on the little things that they made mistakes with. They've shored up protection for Stocco. They've got bigger holes now for the running game. Their defense has been steady all season long, and they've gotten better and better the last couple weeks. because of the different formations that Northwestern and Minnesota are throwing at you, they're playing with a lot of confidence and tenacity, and they're mixing things up. It's actually been a lot of fun to watch these guys improve as young as they are.
Melhoff already has 2 touchbacks today. He was coming into the day tied for the Big Ten lead with 21 touchbacks. That's an important weapon when you can prevent the other team with that opportunity.
Oh yeah, you take it out of the
25 seconds.
Take it out of the hands of the return man, and you get after it a little bit. That's a huge weapon to have.
Essentially, the wind is not a factor. It's a crosswind today, swirling a little bit on the field. Melhoff drills another. That one will touch the end line in the air. And again, Minnesota will begin at their own 20-yard line. Cupido is 3 for 4 in the air for 35 yards. Amir Penix is 5 for 27 on the ground. So Minnesota has the turnover that was returned for a touchdown on a fumble. And you can see what has happened with where Wisconsin is defensively ranking in the Big Ten. First in pass defense, first in total defense, first or second in scoring, second in the red zone. They're awfully good.
Yeah,
that's what that all means.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's one thing that they have to continue to improve on. They can't rest on their laurels now.
Right here, Penix gets into the secondary and now slapped from behind. Stelmacher brings him down, but not until he picks up 27 yards.
You know, Penix, even though he's fairly young as far as experience, he's a junior, so he's been in the system for a long time. Just a simple sweep pass. You pull your guard, you get your tackle out there and lead downfield. That time Rogers overruns a play, forces it back in, but he's got to get upfield and cut that angle down so it's not an easy turn upfield for the running back.
The top 2 running backs from Minnesota a year ago are both gone. Lawrence Maroney in the NFL and another to academic casualty. Cupido has time, throws left side before the cut. A timing route a little bit early and off the mark, looking for Logan Payne.
Yeah, and Logan Payne is their top receiver. He's the main target that Cupido will go to. Very good coverage downfield by the secondary. He's playing man for man. You know, we got to get a little bit more pressure on Cupido. He can't sit back there because he's got time to pick you apart. Those receivers will get open downfield.
It is 2nd and 10, ball marked just outside of the 46-yard line. This Wisconsin defense allowing very little, 12.8 points per game on the season. Some of those were a lot of points scored late in blowouts. Up the middle, Penix again, and now into the secondary, runs over his wideout and falls down at the 31. He was tripped up, tackle credited to Logan Payne.
You know, they've had some great plays as far as running plays, getting up the middle and gashing the Wisconsin defense. Not sure what's happening with the linebackers, but Zalewski gets cut, Stelmacher falls down. Just taking not good angles with their, and they got to win the battle with their feet. They can't reach and grab. They got to win the battle with their feet against a team like this.
There you see Penix among the leaders in the Big Ten, 5th. P.J. Hill is number 1 in the Big Ten, but Penix now has 78 yards so far today. They go to the tight end. Matt Spaeth, one of the captains, near another first down. And we talked earlier about what Wisconsin brings from the tight end position. How difficult does it make it on a defense when you've got wideouts, a good running back, and a solid tight end?
Well, it's just another weapon that Cupido likes to find. Matt Spaeth is a tremendous receiver for him. He's big at, I think, 6'6" or 6'7", about 260 pounds, so he can block, he can run, he can catch. And he's actually surpassed Ben Utek, who was a tight end for him in the early 90s. Some people might remember the game in 1991, I think it was. Melvin Tucker, the safety, hit Utek in the end zone to knock it away on a 4th down that would have won that game for him up in the dome.
Yeah, you could. I was in the press box that day. You could hear it rattle in the press box. That was a big hit.
Yeah, that was. And he was a stud receiver. I mean, he was their main guy that year. And so far, you know, Matt Spaeth has shown that he can do the same thing.
Spaeth had 6 catches for 99 yards a week ago against Penn State. Badgers' red zone defense has been awfully good. 8 of 12 scoring in that red zone. Just 4 TDs in the 12 defensive opportunities in the red zone. Cupido, quick set, right side nearly picked off. Ike Aguano jumps the route, and a pretty good job for the wideout of Minnesota to get back and essentially play defensive back. Eric Decker knocks it away from Ike.
Yeah, and Decker on his route, when you're running a receiver, you run a hitch route like this, you're taught to keep coming back. Didn't come back enough, but Ike's playing in man-to-man coverage. This time, instead of 4 or 5 yards off, he's only 2. He reads Cupido, release the ball, he breaks up for a heck of a play.
If Decker doesn't come back, Ike's got a second.
Touchdown.
You're
you
right.
bet.
It is 3rd and 9 and a big play early in the contest. Cupido at quarterback. He'll look to throw. Deep left corner, overshoots his man, and Minnesota will have to try a field goal.
Ike Iguano on the coverage there again. The thing that he's so impressive on, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and as a corner, that is strong. He matches up with those receivers, the big guys out there, no matter what team it is. But Minnesota, in this case, Payne, a big receiver for them, but locks him down. Then you get Rodgers coming over the top. Very, very good coverage.
First time Jason Giannini has been on the field since missing the extra point last week against Penn State in overtime that cost them the ball game. He's 4 of 5 in field goals this year. On the way, hooking to the left upright and just inside and good. So Giannini now 5 of 6 on the year, and the Gophers are on the board with 3:14 to play in the first.
You know, one thing that's impressive about that drive for both teams, Minnesota's seen some things that they can do. They can run the football on this defense. And they had, I think, ran last week against, or a couple weeks ago against Michigan, most rushing yards Michigan's allowed all year. Now, Wisconsin, on the other hand, even though they got gashed, they regrouped, they came back up, and they forced a stop, forced a field goal. Not an easy field goal by any stretch. Even though they got gashed a couple times, they regrouped and got the job done for a stop. And when you can only allow 3, it's certainly a lot better than 7 points up on the board.
Well, Minnesota gashed Wisconsin on the ground a year ago, and that came up in the Metrodome. That the Badgers were fortunate enough to win, but Minnesota really had their way on the ground in the game a year ago. And so far today, they haven't found the answer to that. It was 411 yards last year in the game against Wisconsin on the ground.
Yeah, and that's not a typical Wisconsin defense by any stretch. You mentioned a couple of the guys that ran. Lawrence Maroney 43 times for 258 yards, and Gary Russell 19 for 139. So,
well, they're both gone.
Yeah, and glad for Wisconsin on that front.
The ball will come to Jarvis Minton, who catches it at the 10 and cuts to the near sideline. Now has some room the other way. Minton out to the 25, maybe the 27-yard line. But in reverse of field, it looks a lot better than it ends up. It's to the 27. It's a 17-yard return, but it gives Wisconsin decent field position to start on offense again. Yeah,
exciting, and they see some things in their special teams that they can do, but a good cutback. The other thing that was impressive on that number 82, Sean Lewis, is blocking downfield, fighting for his guy. And at the end of the play here, you'll see his guy gets off. Instead of taking a penalty, he lays off, turns around, and tries to find somebody else for the block in the back. Right there, you see him lay off, and now he's turning it. If he could have got around the corner, he's got a lead blocker going downfield.
P.J. Hill back as the lone tailback, 78 yards on 7 carries. And there he just decides to punish. He just decided he was going to lower his shoulders on Mike Sherrills and say, okay, I'm not going to make you miss,
right,
but I'm going to make you feel it.
Yeah, and Sherrills is a guy that can bring some heat like that, too. And he gets up, adjusting his face mask, trying to figure out where he's at. But that's the thing that the coaches like about P.J., is he's a guy that can make you miss, but when he decides to put it down, he's fighting for extra yards. Only 2 yards, but I tell you what, that sends a message.
You know, P.J. comes on field there. He was bent back at the end of that run, and he's a little gimpy. I believe on his left leg is what got bent back at the end of that run. So we'll check to see how P.J. feels he's being attended to on the sideline. And it is Lance Smith on a play action now in the backfield. Throw left side, nearly picked off. Beckham had a shot to catch it after the tip, but it was deflected and nearly intercepted by Minnesota.
And Beckham, I think, just at the last second, number 26, Deron Cooley there making the play. Beckham, because he's so long, has long arms. I think he knocked that away from him. Otherwise, it would have been an interception.
Play almost picked off by Dominique Barber, who comes up from the strong safety, the free safety position. And he already has an interception this year, a 210 junior from Plymouth, Minnesota. Jumped the route a little bit, had a chance. It's 3rd and 7 for Wisconsin. Blitz picked up. Stocco has time. Now flushed out. Near side, still dancing around. Looking for a route adjustment. Still not there. Runs it up the middle. Close to a first down.
Now, I don't know if he's running where he's going or he's just running scared.
He didn't know where he was going.
You know, the thing that I liked about that from John, again, tremendous coverage downfield by Minnesota, but he decides to go right, sees a guy coming there, he backs up. All he has is red jerseys. He knows he's protected again, trying to get guys to release downfield, but Minnesota locked on their men. He sees green grass. He knows they need 9 yards for a first down. He puts the head down to go and gets it done.
It's a first down by an inch. Well, that's what a fifth-year senior brings to you. He didn't panic. He knew what he was trying to do.
Yeah, the only thing I think the coaches worry about is, if fans remember last year, John did the same thing, ran downfield and got his clock cleaned in one play. It might have been Bowling Green, got up a little woozy, but puts his head down here before the contact comes and gets it. Great recognition and way to get the job done.
Hill is still on the Badger sideline, so Lance Smith is the tailback. Last time he touched the ball a week ago, he had a 25-yard for a touchdown. There he's caught in the backfield, hit before he can get any steam. It's Tremaine Banks coming in from the corner position to help make the stop, and it brings up the 2nd and 11, a loss of a yard on the play.
And that puts it strain on your tackle outside there. And as good as Thomas is, he can't obviously block both guys, and as he tries to do that, bringing a corner blitz was a good call from the backside. Caught him running an inside run. If they run outside to their right, he might get away from him, but up in the middle, it's an easy play for that corner.
There you see Joe72.org. Big offensive tackle. He's got his own website. And Mel Kiper has predicted him as number 2 in the draft. Now there's Lance Smith trying to make a man miss, gets to the 41-yard line. And what we saw from him last week on that last 25-yard touchdown run is really the sign of things to come from Lance Smith, according to Brett Beeler.
Yeah, he's going to be a heck of a tandem with PJ as they go. It's much like Moss and Fletcher, the alley cat, putting his shoulder down, getting things done, and then you bring in Smith, much like Terrell Fletcher, a little bit quicker, very good hands, even though he hasn't caught the ball a whole lot. Very talented, and he's starting to pick things up, blocking assignments, where he's supposed to run, how he needs to be patient to find the holes.
They'll let the clock run down and end the first quarter. The Badgers have jumped out on top, taking advantage of a turnover and a long touchdown drive, and they lead the Gophers at Camp Randall Stadium 14-3 at the end of one quarter. This is Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors, supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
It's a sun-soaked late morning, early afternoon crowd here at Camp Randall Stadium. A bit chilly, but a good day for college football. Players never get cold on days like this. It's perfect. P.J. Hill is, I believe, back out on the field, which is good to see. He was back on one of those early runs, which one of the things P.J. does is he never stops going forward. Right. So even though he was hit on that play by Sherrills, he kept moving forward. Sometimes when that happens, you get tied. Your legs get tied up in those piles.
Yeah, and he was tight in there with the linemen too, so they're flopping around as they're getting blocked and different things. And you know, you see guys go down, they get rolled up from behind, and sometimes he comes off, feels a little tweak. It's precautionary, but get it checked out, make sure he's healthy.
Come back with a big third down play for the Badgers. 1 of 2 on third down so far today. And here's the opportunity. Ball resting at the 40-yard line. 3rd and 7. We go for a show blitz. And off the middle run, it is over the middle to Hubbard. And maybe a little high and hard. Hubbard should probably catch the ball. Did not.
Definitely a catchable ball. You're right, and John got the ball out there pretty quick and high and hard, but still as a receiver making that crossing route, you got to expect the ball and be ready for it. That's definitely a catchable ball.
Hubbard back on the field today after going out in the second quarter last week with 2 fumbles, but a concussion. Did not return in the game last Saturday after that second quarter hit. And so for the first time today, Wisconsin will punt the football. Ken DeBush, one of the best, gets away a wobbler that will carry and bounce near the 20. And finally take a bit of a favorable bounce for Wisconsin, rolling dead just outside the 20-yard line. So Wisconsin getting off the punt, and Minnesota will start at their own 21. It's a 38-yard punt for DeBush. which is about 5.5 yards short of his season average, averaging just under 44 a kick.
You know, I chuckle at that when it bounces one way and starts rolling down, but Zach Hampton, 26, one of the cover guys down there, watches the ball rock and rock and rock, and then he picks it up at the very tip to get as many inches out of that as he possibly can.
So the Gophers, who have gassed Wisconsin for 124 yards in the first quarter, but only 3 points after a fumble that was returned for a touchdown. They start first down just outside the 21, and cutting back up the middle, Stellmacher comes up and ends up making the tackle. And Stellmacher is the captain of that defensive secondary as a safety, but he's also kind of a linebacker, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely big enough. You know, he's 215, 220 pounds out there, runs very, very well. That time the linemen and linebackers are all stunting to the right, and his responsibility is backside left. That's where he comes, the cutback comes because there's no other lane. He makes a tackle, but he is like an extra linebacker out there that can actually run.
He's second down and 6 for Cupido, who brings a man in motion. He's going to fake the reverse, hand it off the middle, and taken down in the backfield. And the big Nick Hayden, 6'5", 311. Kind of a mismatch against a 6', 205.
Yeah, he's a guy that's aggressive. He likes playing some football, good responsibility football, but as he gets off, there's no place to run around Nick. I tell you, 311 pounds coming at you high and hard. I'd go down as a running back too.
Minnesota is 0 for 2 on third down. They're a 36% third down team on the season as the play clock ticks down close here, and Cupido gets under center. Receiver in motion from the near side, and with some time now stepping up and taken down in the backfield. Wisconsin going to get a sack.
Jason Chapman coming through there, gets off his guy very, very easily. Reads that Cupido stepping off to his right side, gets that big paw out there, throws his guy off, and then gets upfield. But good coverage downfield, bringing the house, man-to-man coverage. He's got no place to go but dance around.
Third sack of the year for Jason Chapman, starting his 15th game today.
Man, what a heck of a play they're throwing off that block. That just made it look easy.
Back deep to receive is Hampton, 19 returns, 7.5 yard average. Doesn't get this one, going to have to go back and fall on it. And suddenly Zach Hampton, who seems so sure-handed for the early part of his career, is having trouble fielding punts.
And that's a tough one when it's going end over end. He's trying to come up, get that at full speed instead of being smart. He's back 10 yards from that ball. If he gets a jump on it, fine, but let it bounce. Go get it. If it doesn't bounce to you, get everybody away. But the kick like that's going to come right to him. It's going to be an easy one to get upfield for positive yards. He's just gambling a little bit more than he should.
Very few people have talked about Wisconsin in the hunt for a Big Ten title this year. And obviously it's early in this football game, but as you look at the standings, Wisconsin and Iowa, along with Penn State, all at 2-1, and Penn State and Michigan playing in a fairly important football game at Happy Valley tonight.
Yeah. And that's one that if Penn State can pull that off, then all the hype of Michigan, Ohio State at the end of the year disappears.
Well, and you know what happens with all that, because this is how Wisconsin fans look at these things. If Penn State were to upset Michigan, then everybody in Wisconsin becomes Michigan fans for that game at the end of the year against Ohio State, because then, how dare I mention a Rose Bowl here in the middle of October, but that's what becomes in play.
Well, yeah, and if Wisconsin keeps taking care of the business down the stretch, they've obviously got Penn State. If Penn State beats Michigan, they beat Penn State. There's a lot of factors that come into it. They finally got recognized in the polls this week. They keep doing the things that they can do. That's going to do nothing but move them up.
Does that matter, getting mentioned in the polls? You played, and you were on one of those teams that went from never being recognized to being recognized and then winning a Rose Bowl. Does it matter?
I think for the teams that I were on, that was exciting because it had been so long. I don't know if these guys necessarily look at it that way because they're used to being at least talked about or definitely in there ranked. I think it means more, and a lot of coaches will tell you this, and some of it's just because they don't want things out in the media, but it doesn't matter till the end of the year. But they'll use that as motivation. They don't necessarily dwell specifically on, hey, we're ranked 25th, but they'll say, hey, boys, we keep doing what we're supposed to do, and things will take care of themselves.
You kind of know where it matters is when coaches tell you that it makes a big difference in recruiting. You want to see in the USA Today, you want to see that poll in there, you want to see who they're playing this week and how they fared last week. You want to see that moving up in the spots.
Yeah, and then you get on the TV more, better spots for that. That's more exposure, whether it's a nationally televised game or not. It's absolutely where it comes into play.
First down at the 47, play action fake, rolling right side on the outside to Jarvis Minton. I believe that is Minton at the 40-yard line.
That's a long, long throw for a quarterback when the ball's over on the left hash like that. Good play action. He comes out and he gets a guy in his face, but a tremendous throw out there and good catch. Way to get upfield for the first down, but that's a long throw for John to make on the run.
And Minton catches it on the far sideline. A junior, 6'1", 208, hasn't been very involved in the Badger offense this year. It is a first down. The ball is marked at the Gopher 40. And now back to the ground game. Hill. A lot more dancing than moving there. He gets the 38.
Not a whole lot of room to run there, but the right guard, Craig Erbich, pulls along with the tight end, Andy Crooks. They come over to try and run a trap play. That time they just couldn't get to the guy before PJ gets upfield that way. But, you know, they're making some good things happen. You got guys blocking downfield. They actually dropped the ball there, so he's lucky he fell on top of it. But, you know, they're doing some different things, just trying to establish control of that line of scrimmage, and so far they've been successful.
The catch on the previous play by Minton was his first this year. I was looking at it because I hadn't had any record of him catching a ball, and it was his first. There's Hill again, now with the gap on the left side, closed quickly and knocked down hard to the turf. Taken down hard by Dion Hightower. Hill had a little bit of a seam, thought he might get a little bit more out of that than he did.
Yeah, they brought Joe Thomas over again to the right side, tight end position, actually playing a tackle over, trying to run over there, but Minnesota's getting some penetration. They're doing some good things, and they're keeping the linemen off the linebackers, allowing them to run and get upfield to tackle the running backs.
3rd and 5. Crooks is in the slot right, the tight end slotting, and Hubbard to his outside shoulder. Swan to the near side, and Stocco on a 3rd and just over 5. Has time, looks deep over the middle. Travis Beckham in the air. Does he pull it down? He does. Good at the 12-yard line. What a great catch. They're wrestling for the ball in there.
See what the officials are calling. That's
Wisconsin ball, and a great catch by Travis Beckham.
That's the old tie goes to the runner. The offense always gets the break on that, but that's just from a defensive guy. But I tell you what, that big target goes up and catches that. He got hit pretty tight from the backside there, but good placement of the ball from Stocco. And the coaches are really impressed with how Beckham has come through, how soft and how strong his hands really are.
What a great throw and a wonderful catch for a kid that was a defensive end and linebacker a year ago. It is first down, and the ball is at the 12-yard line. And Hill cutting back through the middle. Minnesota steps up, and they'll make the play at about the 10-yard line. A host of tacklers, including Willie Vandesteeg, in on the play.
You know, they've done a great job of recognizing things when Wisconsin is running upfield. They get a lot of pressure. They're running some, not necessarily stump, but they're pinching down with their linemen, which means they're slanting down into the inside gaps. They're going to force Wisconsin to go outside, and if they do, they got some breaks early in the first quarter on that. They just have to make some play calls. John maybe needs to audible a little bit, and then the next thing, the linemen have to execute through their block to get the running back upfield.
Stocco has slots and 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the top. Hill on the misdirection gets the 8-yard line, maybe a gain of 1 on the play. It was funny when we asked Brett yesterday where he goes on that offensive line when they need a couple of yards, that it wasn't necessarily behind Joe Thomas.
Right, and that's because on the right side there you get Craig Erbich and Eric Vandenheuvel, 2 kids that are both sophomores that have really stepped up their game this year. They're aggressive, they get down there, and they're big. Why not go to the big side there and let those big bodies move people around?
Well, and he really likes Andy Kemp, who is the guard inside of Joe Thomas, but he knows that he's probably still his weakest offensive lineman in the big picture.
Yeah, compared to the other 5 guys or other 4 guys out there, that's probably right.
Stocco right corner, Swan. Oh, what a throw! What a catch! Touchdown!
I tell you what, I'm not so sure Swan even saw that ball coming down to him. He made a good cut, almost the opposite side, or it was the opposite side of the field, pretty much the same play that he scored on last week. Stocco reads it again, patient, and puts it right on the money. And as that's coming down, the defensive end or defensive back there is in good position, and Swanee catches that, gets his feet inbounds, and secures it as the official sees it.
Well, they're going to review this. That's in the booth next to us. I can peek my head out and see what they're looking at, but I think that they're looking to see if he got 1 foot. So all he needs to get is 1 foot. I want to go back to that throw, because that's not a throw that anybody other than a 50-year senior is going to make.
Yeah, unless he's a guy that's so talented that way, but he doesn't even really step into it. He just launches it up there, but it's right in the money, in the back corner of it. Swanee catches it. That's a touchdown. There's no question.
He actually got his knee down along with his toes.
Yep.
I mean, even in the NFL, that's a catch. So Swan does a great job. He caught a touchdown pass a week ago against Minnesota, or against Northwestern a week ago, and he gets one here. Now, Swan makes a great catch on that, but it's also an incredible throw.
Yeah, it's got to be a perfect placement for that, and it was. He 2 passes during that drive, one to Beckham, one to Swan, both perfect placement from Stocko.
After review, video confirmed, play stands as called on the field, touchdown.
So you get 2 celebrations on that touchdown, thanks to the referee, Dennis Lipsky. And the Badgers extend the lead with an extra point here to be 21-3. And John Stocko is off to a awfully impressive start. He's 4 of 7, 56 yards and a touchdown. Luke Swan has a couple of catches for 19 yards and a touchdown. And P.J. Hill has 89 yards, and the extra point is good, and the Badgers lead it 21-3. Melhoff has made extra points rather boring here. They haven't been boring for Minnesota.
Yeah, if you have an extra point that is boring, that's a good thing. You don't want to have the excitement surrounding that by any stretch. Wisconsin so far on their drives hasn't done anything flashy. They've done things, simple plays that they've done all year long, but they're executing well. Guys are finding ways to get open. John's making some reads and being very patient in the pocket, and the line's doing an awesome job of opening holes and protecting him in the pocket when they do have to pass. On the flip side, Minnesota's still coming at him with some defensive pressure, and they're getting some penetration, which is where I think, the difference from some of the teams in Indiana Northwestern that Wisconsin has faced. These guys have some athletes, and they get aggressive. Now they got to turn around with their offense and get some, a drive going of their own and see if they can put some more points on the board.
Badgers in their 2 scoring drives have chewed up nearly 4 minutes, nearly 5 minutes, 10-play and 7-play scoring drives. This last one, 7 plays, 53 yards, and 3:54 on the clock to extend their lead to 21-3.
And there you saw on that touchdown, Swan again makes a great catch. He turns himself, scores it up to the ball, but it all starts with the protection up front. They bring a 4-man pressure on him, and everybody's locked down. The guys that aren't locked on man-to-man, they double up with the guys, whether it's a guard or the center on the inside, and it makes it easy for them to protect. Now they just bounce back and forth from where they're running to.
Badger hockey unveiled their national championship banner last night at the Kohl Center before falling to North Dakota 3-2. Next weekend, we'll have our first telecast of Badger hockey for the 06-07 season. Saturday, October the 21st, it's the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth and the Badgers of Wisconsin at 10:30, only on Wisconsin Public Television. It's hockey weather.
It sure feels like it.
Yeah. Badgers off to a good start. We talked about this in the open and touched on it right at the beginning of the first quarter as to how well Wisconsin has played, but kind of how shell-shocked Minnesota has been. And I didn't ask you this, but last year they dropped a punt snap in the end zone and have it blocked when the game was all but won.
Right.
Does that haunt them at all? Are there still memories of that? Or as a player, does that just go away?
I think a lot of times it goes away, but when you face the team that happened against, you see highlights of it, the media talks about it, you read things about it, and it becomes conscious again in your mind. The hard part is, again, to put that away, but these guys that play at this level, they know it's a new day and a new era. We got to get the job done. So I don't know if it necessarily dwells and has an impact on the outcome of the game, but it's certainly on their minds.
Melhoff bounces one to the goal line. There's a block in the back and a couple of flags going in on that. Good return all the way out near the 40-yard line. Great return, but very early in the return, there was a very obvious block in the back, and that was about at the 12-yard line. So a spot foul from the point of the foul. It's going to bring them all the way back, deep into their own end. In fact, it will be inside the 10-yard line.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 23 of the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
You'll see it early on the probably left side of the screen. It is 23 right there, and there it is. And did you see what he went right to his helmet with both hands after he did it? Boy, am I an idiot.
Yeah, and that's a 35-yard play right there that they lose. But that's the example of what happened with Wisconsin. Their return, their guy doesn't do that. So now they save, 50, well, in this case, 35 yards, but a big penalty, that's a huge play. And I think now when you see the kickoffs there with Melhoff, you see what type of weapon he is, because he's keeping it away from these return guys who obviously have some moves and their ability, to change the momentum of the game.
Minnesota will start with the ball at their own 6-yard line. And Cupo into his end zone on a play action. Left side and incomplete. Just did underthrow Logan Payne. Ike Aguano on the coverage. And there's a flag in the backfield. They could back him up more on a hold. It is
right
holding
there, yep.
against Minnesota.
Yep. Number 54 going in there.
Number 79, offense. Penalties decline.
Good choice.
Second down.
Yeah, that's a long, dangerous throw.
Yeah.
It balls in the air a long time, and Ike had a good break on it.
Yeah, he had a very good break. I think he's gaining more confidence knowing that he's got the speed to run with these guys. But with Mike Newkirk getting up there and a definite hold, a very good call by the officials.
It is 2nd and 10, and the ball is at the 6-yard line. Badgers have a 3-man defensive line. They come with linebackers on the blitz, and Casillas gets him at the 5. One of those times when we were talking to Brett yesterday, he said that they bring Stellmacher in the nickel package up essentially as a linebacker. Even though he's a strong safety, he's really in the linebacker role on those situations.
Yeah, and one thing that makes that good is he's used to covering guys. He's used to tackling guys. He's not afraid to get up there and mix it up with some of the linemen because he's big and strong enough. And he's got the experience, so he recognizes things so much quicker that he can fill in the alleys where he needs to and then get out to cover the flat if need be.
4-man defensive front and essentially four linebackers stepping in behind. They run the reverse near sideline and out to the 13, 14-yard line. Stellmacher on the tackle, on the reverse to Logan Payne, who had 4 carries coming into the ball game. So he's a weapon that they use. And for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, it's a punting situation. The ball is spotted at the 14, and Justin Kusek, who dropped that punt snap and then had the punt blocked against Wisconsin at the Metrodome, kind of back out there in a similar position on the field as he was last year at the end of the game in the Metrodome.
We'll see if some of this stuff is playing on his mind like you talked just a little while ago.
And Wisconsin's coming. They put 9 men up front. Low pressure, Casillas almost got there again. Hampton low line drive with a chance at the 40, stays on his feet inside the 40 and at the 38-yard line. Incredible field position, just a 28-yard punt as Wisconsin comes off the field, and they love the play on that. Brett Bielema ran out, and he does that on a fairly regular basis. He ran out and wanted to talk to Johnny White in a good way. Yep. Johnny White came off the field, and Brett met him out near the hash marks, wanted to, give him a high five and tell him what a great job he did. I was looking at the ball in the air, so I don't know what White did, but Brett does that. And players like that, don't they, when they get that from their coach?
Oh, especially the head coach, because he's managing the ball game. A lot of times you don't see that. You work with your position coach. The thing that Bielema's taken over this year is the special team, so I think he's taken a lot of pride in what those guys are doing out there. And White, who's a backup safety, has some ability. He's played a lot of ball for Wisconsin, and he's going to do so in the future here. But I tell you what, when you can get field position like this in the kicking game, that means all the momentum is still on your side, and these guys are getting the job done.
You see the Badger players huddling up as they do before they come out on offense, but prior to that, you were looking at Brett Bielema. We talked with him about the respect issue, respect, trust, discipline. He says when they've got a 6 o'clock meeting that you need to be in your chairs ready for the 6 o'clock meeting. His 6 o'clock is not Tom Coughlin time. It's not 5:50. It's 6 o'clock. But he enforces a discipline on this football team that I think the players, kids that age, really need that.
Oh yeah. Well, and, you come from high school where things are a little more lax, and you get to class, you do those things right, but come practice, Billy's not out here for practice. We can't start. He's our quarterback. Well, here it doesn't matter because you've got a backup who's ready to go. You've got a backup to the backup who's ready to go. And those guys, the expectation is you show up on time to this meeting, you show up time to practice. Obviously, you show up time to a game, but that carries over from that program, that discipline, that structure, not in the classroom. You got an 8:50 class, you better be in that seat at class time as well, and they monitor those things. And you know, that starts with your head coach. If I want the meeting at 6 o'clock, he's there at 6. His staff is there at 6. Everybody's ready to go, and I think that eventually filters through. The other good thing is he's got some senior leaders out there who monitor everybody as well, and they get the job done. If somebody's slipping up, they're not afraid to pull them aside and talk to them.
He's got incredible attention to detail. Brett does. As you walk into his office, it is very organized. There's not piles of stuff laying around. And when you talked about that, when he has a 6 o'clock meeting, he's there. Yep. He's not late, and that's why you said it starts with the coach. It certainly does here with Brett Bielema and his staff. The Badgers take over at the Minnesota 38, leading by 18. Hill off the left side, runs through the Spurs tackler and knocks to the deck Dominic Jones. He doesn't pick up a lot of yards on a carry, but that'll set up third and fourth quarter yards, won't it?
Oh, yeah, you know, those guys aren't going to want to get hit by him a whole lot like that. You know, good penetration by the defense again, though. They fake a blitz, they step out, and then they come down hard hill again. But PJ puts his shoulder down and sends a message that I'll see you a little bit later.
Yeah. Well, and Dominique Barber went down he thought he was going to level the hit. He took the hit. It is 2nd down and 7. The ball is inside the 35, and Hill, the workhorse, gets it to the 30. As a defensive back, do you miss the game when you see hits like that last one that Hill put on Dominique?
No, I don't see it. You get fired up for games, but I tell you, when you do some of those things and you hit those guys, unless you've got some guy's number, there's certain games and certain players that you do. But I remember a guy by the name of Mike Allstott, pretty good running back from Purdue and Tampa Bay. That's one guy that, you know, reminds me of PJ a little bit. He was low and he came at you hard. If you went low, he put his knee up into your helmet. You went high, lower his shoulder and run you over. He was a real deal. PJ is showing, you know, some flashes of that same stuff.
Hill spins off one end, spins forward for the first down at the 5.5-minute mark of the second quarter. Hill now approaching the 100-yard mark. That was his 15th carry.
And he's the workhorse. You know, you get Crooks coming over, you get your linemen flying downhill and resetting the line of scrimmage past the first down marker, and it makes an easy first down for PJ to get. 15
carries, 100 yards on the button for PJ Hill. Well, we have it at 101, so better than 100.
He'll like our statistician a lot better.
Hill cut back through the middle, and now Minnesota's doing a better job staying at home. That's something they see on film that they prepare for, those cutback lanes, holding your assignment.
Yeah, you know, the defensive ends and defensive tackle off the backside, they're taught not to necessarily turn or run, but to slide your feet. Close the angles down, but slide your feet and keep your shoulders square, so if PJ does cut back, now you've got a wide body. You're sitting there waiting for him.
Hightower makes the tackle, a sophomore from Arlington, Texas. 30 tackles on the year and a forced fumble. It is 2nd and 7. The ball is marked at the 23. Again, Hill, left side. Crooks, the lead blocker. Oh, what a play. Coming up from the secondary is Trumaine Banks, and that doesn't happen to P.J. Hill very often.
No, and I think Trumaine hid behind the guy that Crooks was blocking there, so when he cut outside, he didn't even see Banks. But Banks is a solid football player. He's a senior cornerback for the Minnesota defense. You see him hiding right behind. There he shows up as PJ. He doesn't even see him. So, you know, those are some things you can duck yourself behind, much like a running back does behind his big lineman. You can do that same thing as a secondary player, and all of a sudden there's a surprise and a present waiting for him.
Wisconsin 4 of 6 on 3rd down, and this is 3rd and 7, maybe even 8. And Stocco has time, and now he doesn't have time. He's beaten off the left end, and a flag comes in late. Andy Kemp was the guard that was slotted out to the outside. He was beaten, I believe, by Neil Allen, who came through and leveled John Stocco.
Yeah, and Stocco didn't even feel him coming from the backside that way, but we'll see what this flag is down here.
Holding, number 4, defense.
Well, one good play.
Previous spot foul. Result of penalty. First down.
Now, Nelly, those are the things that happen to teams when they're going down.
Right, and that's exactly what I was just going to point out. You get some guys up front that are doing some really good things, and then we just talked about Banks, a senior who's one of their best players on defense there, makes a mistake that, you know, it costs his team a great play. Cost his team a sack, cost his lineman and his defensive teammates there. He brings them down to the ground and tries to hang on. And those are the things as a senior you know you can't do. You got to be better than, again, you win the battle with your feet, not with your hands.
Stocko under center, brings Hubbard in motion and goes to Hill, who cuts back, makes one man miss, spins down inside the 7 to the 6 yard line. It'll be short of a first down. It brings up 2nd and 2. We've seen it happen twice to Minnesota in the last 5 minutes of play. They had a kick return that was out near the 45-yard line, but a push in the back brought that ball back to the 5.
Right.
And now we just saw a 3rd down stop that would have forced Wisconsin to a long field goal at best and a punt at worst, and that is erased by a defensive holding. Bad teams, I'm not saying Minnesota is a bad team, but teams in bad ways have those problems.
Yeah, they end up beating themselves a lot of times in certain situations, especially like that. They make some great plays, but then, again, one mistake can cost your team. It turns out to be a big play. Could cost them a touchdown.
Hill is patient, and he pushes forward, and Wisconsin is going to have a 1st and goal inside the 3-yard line.
As an offensive coordinator, Paul Christ is up there looking at this, and they love this stuff. It sure beats a 1st and goal from the 9-yard line. It's a long way to go. You bring in some bigger bodies and whatnot from the defense, and so they come at you a little bit differently. But here, 1st and goal at the 2-yard line, I tell you, these guys are hungry. They're ready to bury this team, and Brett likes to do that. Put them away early. Let's get this job done.
It is 1st and goal for Wisconsin, and Hill is in the backfield. He has 9 touchdowns on the ground this year and 1 in the air. And on the right side, Stocko kept it and throws to Crooks for the touchdown. What a great fake by the Badgers senior quarterback. Nobody knew he still had it.
You know, that's when you got a guy like P.J. Hill running up in there. Everybody converges down. Tremendous fake. Good job by P.J. He just seals off. Stocko holds it right on the hip. He waits. Crooks blocks for about a count of 3 seconds and releases. And by the time that happens, your linebackers disappeared, your secondaries disappeared. It's an easy throw and touchdown.
3rd touchdown of the year for Crooks, and the extra point is good. And inside of 2 minutes to play in the first half, the Badgers lead it 28-3.
One thing we just noticed on that last play, too, number 48, Josh Neal, who's a sophomore fullback, is filling in for Bill Rentmeester. Bill came out with a shoulder injury, a little stinger. I think they're checking to him on the sideline. I'm not sure if he'll be back. But being able to fill in there and execute things as a backup, you've got to prepare and you've got to be ready. And that time, Josh Neal, last couple of plays, stepped up and was a lead blocker in both situations.
Now, this is a Wisconsin team that lost 9 of 11 starters from a year ago on offense. It was a team that, as we talked about in preseason camp, the question marks were all on the offensive side of the ball. Are those just all gone? Have we erased any question marks about this team offensively?
Well, you know, I think there's some things that still need to be determined. When we saw them against Michigan, there are some question marks that still remain. They've tightened those things up against, lesser teams across the board is what Michigan has. But I tell you, they've got receivers that are stepping up. Hubbard's had a couple good games. Last week he didn't have a good one, but guys backed him up. Beckham, Crooks in this game has stepped up, scored another touchdown. But that, I think, falls back to Stocko, a guy that's been there through the trenches with some experience, without some experience, himself included. Now he's leading this team, and guys are looking at him. He's patient. He doesn't get flustered. And the guys play that way. The ones that are surrounded with him, they're very much relaxed. They know their jobs, and they execute. And, that also stems out to the coaching staff. We'll teach you things. We want you to execute, but it's going to be simple. It's going to be easy, and we're going to put you in situations to be successful.
Melhoff hits it, carries high and deep to the goal line, and Minnesota will bring it out. Cutting it up the middle and stops short of the 20-yard line at the 18, so the Badgers do a good job on kick coverage. And Minnesota again starts with poor field position at their own 18-yard line.
And downfield blocking there, Minnesota's got one of the Wisconsin Badgers down there, and 2 guys come flying off the bench on defense, and one is Stellmacher and one is Shaughnessy, going to their teammates' aid, just say, hey, you know what? We're winning 28-3, boys. You don't come in our house and do that.
Cupido gets under center with a single back in the backfield and 3 receivers. Zalewski steps up into the gap and shows blitz, and he's coming up over the middle, caught by the tight end and good to the 21-yard line and that is Matt Spaeth again on the catch. With 1:25 to play, Minnesota hurries to the line of scrimmage.
This is where communication becomes so critical, both on offense and defense. But get yourself, everybody's lined up in the same coverage. They know what the front is. If you don't communicate down the line, you're going to have guys in blown assignments, whether it's up front or in the back end.
As a corner or a safety here, do you have to fight the temptation to jump a route? Well, when a team is desperate.
Yeah, a lot of it just depends. Are we playing man coverage or zone? If we're in man, you're always staring at the man the entire way. Jumping a route isn't so bad because you're focused on. You got to be real careful in zone. That your safeties are usually a lot easier in the corners. Corners get anxious and they want to do that kind of stuff. It's just disciplined football at that point.
Slant left side, incomplete. Right side, rather incomplete. Looking for Logan Payne, and suddenly Minnesota's in a fourth down position here with 1:14 to play and the clock stopped.
Yeah, and they've thrown 2 passes there without having to call a timeout from Wisconsin. Made it very easy, and again, with the wind blowing, it's kind of swirling down there. Hampton's got to secure the ball, but they can have great field position again with plenty of time to score.
Well, you could put the ball game away if you add another score here at the end of the half. Kick high and incredibly short. Going to bounce at the 50. Get away, and it's caught by Minnesota and down at the 48-yard line. Well, the Badgers have 1:07 on the clock. Now, here's the new college rule. Keep in mind, as soon as they place this ball down, the clock's going to wind. So if Wisconsin's going to go get points or try to get points here, they'll come out on the field right away with 1:07 to play. 1st and 10 at the 48.
And I wouldn't be surprised to come out with this play. They know what their second play is. If they don't get something, that they can get on the line and really utilize that clock efficiently and effectively down the stretch here.
Stocco steps in under center, slot right, and 2 receivers to the left. Has plenty of time. Looks deep, left sideline. Hubbard on the catch at the 35. Over the linebacker, another good throw by John Stocco. Hasn't thrown it a ton today, but that one over John Shevlin and good on the sideline for a first down.
Big time catch right there too for Hubbard. It's falling low and he goes down real low, down to his shoestrings to make that catch.
And the Badgers move. It's Travis Beckham on the left end of the offensive line from the tight end position. He fell out of his stance.
False start, number 9, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
This is the time where, you really got to be disciplined. We just talked about the defense on that offense the same way. You've got to listen to the cadence. You got to listen so closely to your quarterback so you know what's going on. That time, Travis got a little excited.
Stocco again has had time all day, steps up this time, he'll go down. And I don't know that was a breakdown in the offensive line scheme. John looked for his initial receiver, didn't have him, and stepped into pressure.
That's their first charge timeout.
He stepped up there. Beckham was a big target from it. It would have been basically a 2-yard reception with a linebacker on the back side of him. So I think John recognized that, tried to decide, okay, am I going to step up and throw to him, or am I going to run? And at the last minute, those guys get out their blocks. But good pressure up front. It was good protection to begin with, and things just broke down as he stepped into the wrong position.
John's only had to throw the ball 9 times today. He's 6 of 9, efficient for 75 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Even on the ground game, although P.J. Hill has 116 yards, he's their only yards essentially on the ground. The Badgers have run it for 122 yards. And thrown it for another 75, so they're under 200 yards at the half, but I have a chance to score more than 30 points in the half if they can get anything out of this drive.
And some of that's been, again, the defense, scores and the fumble recovery. They haven't had to go very far on their drives.
Yeah.
They had the one drive early in the game, I think it was 80 yards for them, but other than that, they've had a short field to go, so you're not going to get a whole lot of yardage.
And they've had over 18 minutes in time of possession to just over 11 minutes for Minnesota. So Wisconsin has controlled all of the elements they want to so far. They have about a 5-minute average advantage in time of possession on the year, holding it for nearly 33 minutes or 32 and a half minutes per game to their opponent's 27 and a half minutes. So Wisconsin is they grounded out. Brett Bielema isn't coaching a whole lot different in that regard than Barry Alvarez did.
Just very methodical, doing the things that are working and coming back to him because they know they've been successful. And they'll mix things up a little bit here at some point, but there's no need to right now.
It is 2nd down and 19, and the officials want to re-spot the ball, so they blow the whistle before the play gets off, resetting the play clock. And the Badgers a little confused as to the offensive set here. Now they shift it to the strong right, and Stocko calls for motion. Looking to throw, trying to set up the screen, and it was read by Minnesota. John has to end up throwing it away. Minnesota does a good job in reading the screen there. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, it wasn't there. They're only bringing pressure pretty much by 3 guys, and Joe Thomas guy gets around the corner on him.
Was out of the pocket, ball beyond the line of scrimmage. 3rd down.
See, Joe's working hard trying to push him down, but number 91, Willie Van de Steeg, gets around him, stays on his feet. John feels the pressure, gets out of there, and does the right thing to throw it out of bounds, but just needs a little bit more time. But again, very good coverage downfield by the secondary and the linebackers.
Well, it's a 3rd down, and it's 3rd and 19. Ball is on the Minnesota 44. Melhoff has a strong leg, but they'll probably need 6 or 7 yards to even think about a field goal here. John wants to throw, steps up under pressure. Beckham is open to the right sideline. He'll get the 34-yard line, and I do think that Wisconsin can try a field goal here with Melhoff. In pregame warmups to this end zone, he had hit from 53 yards in the pregame. And it would be about that distance, 52 yards. They're going to take a timeout.
Timeout, Wisconsin. That's their 2nd charge timeout.
Well, it's a 4th down, so the decision process here I wouldn't think would be that complicated. Melhoff has the leg to get it there, and on a 4th down with 12 seconds left, what else would you be doing?
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like the backup quarterbacks who call the signals to Stocko were out there making calls, and I think at some point there was some confusion. Are we coming off? Are we staying on? What's the situation? And it was a smart play to call a timeout there to at least discuss some things.
They're going to kick it. Melhoff is walking out to the hash, and it would be from the far hash mark, so it might not be the best angle for a left-footed kicker to hit that from the far hash, but he's halfway out on the field with Ken DeBush, his holder.
The only difficult thing here, Mike, is with the distance. You got to kick it a little bit lower to get that distance. And with the swirling wind down there, you got to be real careful with where it's at. Protect up front so they don't come inside and get an easy block. Make sure you seal off the corners with your wing backs that are stepping down to make sure that there's no penetration. But it's a lower angle kick, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but still.
They're not going to kick it. Brett brings Taylor and DeBush back to the sideline and runs Stocko back out onto the field. So for whatever reason, they don't feel that the best play here is to kick a field goal. So on a 4th and 10 with 12 seconds to play, the Badgers have a timeout, so they can get a 1st down and the clock would stop.
Just a long way to go for a 1st down right here.
Yeah, it is. So they run P.J. Hill as the lone tailback and a double tight end set on either end of the line with 2 receivers near side. Stocko fakes the handoff and looks. Plenty of time, deep end zone for Hubbard in the end zone, no flag.
Wow. Hubbard's got to be careful there that he doesn't go to the official and get a flag of his own, but I'm really surprised unless he didn't lay on him like that. Well, that sure looks like his left hand is grabbing him there at the end. That should be a flag.
Well, there's 2 officials very close to the play, and whether they felt the ball was uncatchable or the timing was okay, either way, they don't throw the flag, and the Badgers' decision to go for it on that 4th down will come up empty. And the first half will wind to a close. It's been a good half for Wisconsin. They lead Minnesota by a score of 28-3 going to the locker rooms. And Paul Bunyan's axe right now on the Badgers sideline may just stay there for another year. 30 minutes of football yet to come. Wisconsin leads the Gophers 28-3. This is Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
Welcome back to Camp Randall Stadium. At the half, Wisconsin leads Minnesota by a score of 28-3 on homecoming for the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm Mike Heller again, along with former Badger defensive back Scott Nelson. And Wisconsin dominant from the start in this one, Nelly, trying to hold Paul Bunyan's axe. They played for 100 consecutive years, and at least this year right now, it looks like Wisconsin's the better team.
Yeah, they definitely are. You know, they're gouging the defense here. They're playing solid defense themselves. They're setting things up the way they want things to be done, and they've controlled this ball game from start to finish, with the exception of maybe 2-3 plays, but they've really controlled this entire ball game.
And the Badgers defense allowed Minnesota just 14 offensive yards in the second quarter. Let's look at highlights, because it started early in this one, and it was the Badger defense that comes up with a fumble recovery and a touchdown.
You know, and that's just great execution, coming in, punching the ball out. Ike Iguano recognizing, scoop and score, getting the job done.
P.J. Hill has had another great day. The Big Ten's leading rusher is averaging better than 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, you know, and he's fun to watch. He's exciting to play the game here. He's got guys around him that are excited, and, you know, he's just getting the job done, running people over, making people miss, and he's the complete package.
116 yards on 19 carries in the first half. Penix also averaging better than 7 yards per carry. He's had the one fumble, but most of his yards came in the first quarter. Wisconsin then adjusted.
Yeah, and they did adjust very well, but Minnesota's seen some things now in the first half that they can correct in the second half and get things done to get some more positive yardage.
And the Badgers get some pressure on Cupido as well, and the fifth-year senior hasn't had enough time to throw. Travis Beckham on a great pitch and catch from John Stocco, and talk about a good throw and catch. Another one followed it for the touchdown.
Yeah, and John's on the money today. He's got receivers that are running routes, timing routes, and getting the job done, and a great play-action fake down to the corner there for Crooks for an easy touchdown, but they're clicking on all cylinders right now.
Stocco's been efficient. This is one of those times when I would agree with the pundits that say he's efficient. He's 7 of 12 in the first half for a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah.
Hadn't had to throw it a lot, but when he's done it well.
He's done it well. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but that's the kind of guy John is. He just gets the job done, and he's not running around and doing crazy things. He's just being a solid leader.
Let's look at stats of the half. Wisconsin is in control on the scoreboard. Stats don't necessarily bear that out, but it has been a fairly dominant performance. Look at third down conversions. That jumps out. Minnesota is nothing for 5, and the Badgers are 4 of 7. Time of possession, a definite advantage for Wisconsin. And Glenn Mason and Minnesota will start the second half on defense, and going to need to get some stops here to get back in the contest. The Badgers will pick it up with Jarvis Minton at the 4-yard line. Waiting for a seam on the right, won't find one, and gains the 19, and Wisconsin will start at the 19-yard line.
And the Wisconsin offense just needs to come out and continue to do the things that they did in the first half, establish the, control of the line of scrimmage, force the line of scrimmage to be reset, get some contact going, get the blood flowing again here a little bit, get back into the groove of the game, and again, just dominate as they did in the first half.
Wisconsin will start with the ball at the 19-yard line, and P.J. Hill comes out as the tailback. And Bill Rentmeester, who struggled a little bit in the first half with some shoulder issues, is the up back in the fullback position. Wisconsin goes from right to left. That's south to north here at Camp Randall. And Stocco looks deep over the middle for Beckham, wide open. Running loose. Foot race.
Beckham's fast, not quite that fast, but I tell you, number 4 did a nice job. Tremaine Banks makes a tackle, and he's down on the field right now. Not sure if he's holding his shoulder, got the wind knocked out of him, but looks like his left shoulder.
When you saw Luke Swan at the end wanted to come back and make the hit, and had he been able to step out one more stride, Swan would have taken away the chase.
Yep, he would have. Looks like he lands right on his left shoulder there. Banks, as he's running down, lands on the left shoulder and comes down hard. But you're right, Swan's downfield just waiting and waiting for somebody to come back and pick off, and as he goes down, does a nice job of laying off and not having a penalty.
Now, Banks, the corner, has has the tight end in coverage responsibility there. He was running with him, but the drop linebacker coverage, is that, when you look at that again, and I don't know if we'll see it again from Ben downstairs, but is that a deep enough drop? Was that the miss in coverage there?
Well, no, and the reason I say no is because Stocco didn't have to put air under it. It was just a nice, easy throw straight down the middle that if you do have a linebacker that's dropping, now you see the ball loop a little bit. Well, this is just a bullet right down to Beckham there. Those guys were just out of position a little bit, but again, creating some seams, finding the holes in the defense there is what Beckham's starting to see and establish himself, and that's why Stocco likes going to him. He gets open.
Well, and you see where he kind of kicks up there. Maybe he hate to speculate here, but the defensive back, and Tremaine Banks, with his 41st career start, is up and now walking and favoring the left side. It kind of looks like it might be more of a shoulder deal than anything else.
Yeah, a lot of times when you see him holding the arm that way, usually that does mean a shoulder somehow, and they're going to actually take him right into the locker room, get things checked out.
That looked like, I mean, with the way they're holding it, does that look like it could be potentially a separated shoulder or something of that nature?
Separated or even dislocated, the way they're trying to hold him as steady as he can. So, you know, you hate to speculate with that stuff, but that certainly looks like what it is.
Well, we hope that Tremaine Banks is okay. 41st start, another kid out of Columbus, Ohio. They have a definite connection to Columbus, Ohio on this Minnesota coaching staff. Always at the skill position. All defensive backs and wideouts and a tailback from Columbus. They've got about 9 Columbus, Ohio players on their roster.
And I'm sure that, you know, the Wisconsin coaching staff and these guys see each other because Henry Mason, the wide receiver coach, is responsible for Ohio, and he's got a couple decent guys out of Ohio. Chris Chambers, Lee Evans, you know, those guys, not too bad receivers for the Badgers, but, you know, they cross paths, and there is a lot of skill positions in the state of Ohio that if they don't want to go or they don't get an offer from Ohio State, why not come still play in the Big Ten, and then you got a little edge to you when you play those guys back at home.
You know, Minnesota, Glenn Mason is in his 10th year with 60 wins in that tenure. They're going to go to an on-campus outdoor stadium that they broke ground on this September that will open in 2009. Joel Maturi, very familiar to a lot of Madison folks, spent a lot of time here at Edgewood High School and then at the university. He is their athletic director. Number one priority at the University of Minnesota was to get an on-campus open-air football stadium, and it's underway.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting because now you don't have to play in the dome. They're going to have an atmosphere just like here at Camp Randall, and it's going to be exciting for those guys to be back on the campus.
Stocco with a slight roll to the right, and Beckham wide open again. This time, touchdown, Travis Beckham, 40 yards.
Desi Steve, number 11, the cornerback there, who's coming in for Tremaine Banks, had man-to-man coverage on Beckham the entire way. Beckham, as fast as he is, outran him that time to get to the football. Very good route. Little misdirection there, all the line going left and step, and Stocco had great execution on the throw again. Plenty of time to throw, and that's his heart and desire to get the ball into the end zone. 2
plays, 81 yards, both to Travis Beckham. I want to talk about that in a second. Mel Hoff is looking to add the extra point. Good hold on a bad snap by the punter, Ken DeBush, who gets the hold down, and the extra point is good. It's 35-3. What have they seen to start the second half that allowed them to go 2 plays to Travis Beckham, the tight end, for 81 yards?
Well, I think they've got some receivers that can run on these guys. You know, they're fast and physical, but you get by them, they're going to bite on some things. And with Beckham, he's a guy that's gone after the ball a number of different times. The 4 catches, 114 yards, that touchdown right there. He's competing, and he wants to win the game. He's doing whatever he can to help his Badger teammates, and Stocco's finding him. And Stocco has the time to throw the football. He's not being pressured a lot and just getting the job done.
Nelly, most of the time when you see a tight end having success, it's a mismatch against a linebacker.
Right.
Well, on both of these routes, he was against corners.
Right. And I think that's part of his size, is he can shed those guys off and push off legally, as a receiver can do, and then those guys are playing catch up, but because he is athletic enough, strong enough to get away from those guys, he becomes open, and then it's an easy throw for Stocco because he's 6'4". Those guys that he's playing against are 5'10", 5'11", and that's a definite difference with those big long arms that he has.
Calling up to Coach Bostad and saying, how do you like that?
I'm sure he's getting some pretty good kudos right there.
35-3, 14:01 to play in the third. Wisconsin trying to erase all doubt about this one. Melhoff kicks it 3 yards deep. Minnesota says, why not? Coming out to the 10, reversing field, and now into the open field. Out over the 35 to the 36-yard line on a return that maybe looked ill-advised initially. Jones gets it all the way out over the 35. He hesitated 3 yards deep in the end zone. It's a 36-yard return right there. You think he's done, but he waits, and a seam opens up, and a good return for Minnesota.
He's a definite threat. When he came out, I thought that was a bad move on his part. Wisconsin's cover guys were already to the 20-yard line. Great running downfield, but again, patient and waiting for the holes to open up.
And now Cupido with a play-action fake, looking deep, and now taken down in the backfield. Wisconsin again with pressure. It's Jason Chapman, his second sack today.
And he's owning the inside of that line right now. The interior is all his. He's having his way with those offensive linemen, throwing them off, getting pressure again, straight up the middle, untouched as he shakes those guys off, and the offensive lineman can do nothing but come back and help the quarterback up.
So Wisconsin's defense again showing a little bit of their force, setting up a 2nd and 16. Chapman, a big kid at 282. Badgers defensive tackles have been good today, Chapman and Hayden. Left side, quick slant to the wide out is high and wobbling to the boundary and out of bounds. Ike Iguano on the coverage. Cupido didn't have a good hold on that one. Looked like it came out of his hands bad.
And one thing Wisconsin did there, they started out in trips off to the left-hand side. They went in motion. Wisconsin showed cover 3, which is 3 deep corners and their safeties. And as they came over, they shifted to a cover 2, which was a squat corner. Made an easy route there for Jack and Langford on each side with those receivers coming off. So it's an easy throw or easy read for them on the throw. Cupido
will have to go to the air again. He's 3rd all-time at Minnesota in passing yards. Just a shade under 6,000 career yards coming in. 3rd and 16. Badgers bring pressure, and Shaughnessy levels him in the backfield.
They brought everybody, I think, on that except Zalewski. Man coverage downfield with both safeties playing an inside read route again. Man coverage from the corners. Good coverage downfield. Shaughnessy shaking guys off. Cooper coming off to finish him off. And, you know, these guys are having fun playing some football right now.
Yeah, he ran right over Tyson Swigert, who's a 5th-year senior. Shaughnessy, not a big kid. He's 6'6", 234. 234 is small for defensive end standards.
But with his speed and athleticism, he makes up for that lack of size.
Oh, the rush came, and they got close. And now Hampton again fumbles the punt, but this time he'll drop on it again. And Zach's had a hard time fielding punts.
Yeah, I don't know if he's really figured out what this wind is doing on the field there. He's lucky and been able to cover him up, but that's just, you got to adjust, and you got to adjust quick here. And it's swirling down there, but each time it's dropped short of him. He's just got to take another step up and secure that football.
We've been back there in those spots.
Yeah.
Once you lose some, it's like missing a short putt in golf, isn't it? Once you miss a 5-footer, that always, forever, is in your head that you can miss that putt. Once a punt returner drops a punt, I think it's always in the back of his mind that he can do it again.
The thing that he needs to do is that next punt, make sure that doesn't happen, and it's been continuing to happen. And that's, once you get that done, now, like you said, you make the putt, now it's gone again. Now I'm back in the groove. He just hasn't been able to adjust for whatever reason to the way the wind is blowing, and they've been some difficult kicks, some end-over-end stuff, some things swirling, but he's been back there enough. He should be able to read that and adjust quick enough.
He dropped that. You look at John Sacco and what he's done as far as spreading the ball between running backs and wide receivers and tight ends, and look at where he went against Indiana. A lot more to the wideouts today. 8 times to the tight ends compared to just 5 to the wideouts. Is that dictated by the defense?
Well, I think some of it, you get the hot guys going, and Beckham is obviously hot today. Why not keep going to him? He's smart enough to know this guy's hot, this guy isn't. And then the play calls, he's checking down to the running backs. That's why you see a few numbers there that, 1-3 catches, that stuff. But those are his check down routes, and as he goes, from his first guy all the way down to his 5th receiver, he's doing a tremendous job with that and checking down.
Those are a lot of the former Badger football players, including Brooks Bollinger in the middle, who now plays for the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of bye weeks in the NFL this weekend. With Mark Tauscher came back to the game. He's on the far right, Badger offensive tackle. Brooks Bollinger there in the middle, now playing for former Badger coach Brad Childress with the Vikings in Minnesota. So when they can, and that's Matt Bernstein, pretty good fullback in his own right.
And he did all right. He missed a lot of his senior year with the shoulder injury, but you know, he was a crowd favorite. He had a great game against Penn State when he had the chance to run and hurdle a bunch of guys. Just a quality ball player.
First down and 10, ball resting at the 47. It's Stocko with an eye backfield. P.J. Hill, the tailback here, sealed on the right side. Oh, he's dancing at the 45-yard line. Good move on the outside. Actually, a pretty good defensive play by Minnesota. I want to talk about those alumni that are back because you talk about control that coaches have over the team. I asked Brett Bielema, you were there yesterday when we asked him if he has any former players talk to him, NFL players on this weekend. He said, you know what, from Friday through Saturday, I want full control of everything my players hear and see. So, no, he doesn't have the former players talk to the team.
And a lot of guys will tighten the reins that way because they really need to focus on the task at hand, and that's winning a ball game.
It is a first down. Hill picks up the better than 10 yards on first down and now just plows through the center of that big Wisconsin offensive line, riding those horses up front. And Hill picks up about 4 just in a rugby scrum there inside the 40 to the 38-yard line.
You know, you always know that the running back is doing his job when he gets into a pile like that and it just inches forward yard by yard. And he, like you said before, he's driving his feet all the time, and that makes it easy for the linemen to continue to push downfield.
P.J. Hill, the #1 ground gainer in so far this year, continues to rack him up today. He's now over 130 yards on 21 carries today. Lance Smith gets a chance through the left side, tries to run through one tackle. Face mask is the call against Minnesota, so we'll tack on more yards to this one. I thought Hill might come out the other end, but a face mask against Mario Reese will add to the play.
Personal foul, face mask, number 48, defense. That's a 15-yard end of the run penalty, automatic first down.
Well, for Minnesota, that is their third penalty today for 29 yards. Keep in mind that one penalty was more of a 40-yarder because of the yards they lost on the play and backing it up. Wisconsin with one penalty today, fundamentally sound, and that's just 1 point of separation between this Wisconsin football program right now and Minnesota.
Right, and they're doing the little things right. That's exactly the perfect point to make, and they're having fun doing it. You know, it's interesting to see these guys out here playing, but everybody's on the same page doing the same thing together.
Since the start of the second quarter, Minnesota has 1 yard offense. Stocko throws it out of bounds at the left corner pylon looking for Swan. 1 yard for Minnesota in the second quarter, and now the third quarter total is they're minus 13 yards here in this quarter.
Right. And Stocko there does a good job of throwing that one away. Double coverage on Swan, throws it out of bounds again. Last week he threw it into coverage that way and it got picked off. Now he's making the right reads, and he's like, guys, you know, we're at the 21-yard line. That's second down now. Let's line up and play again, and we'll try and get the job done in the end zone.
It is a second down and 10, and Swan gets single coverage on the left. 3 receivers slotted to the right, and Hill with a big opening on the left side. Around the defensive back this time to the 5 and close to the pylon. Knocked out the Marco B at the 2. They've done such a good job today at sealing that cutback run. When we see this again, tell us what's going on the seal on the far side.
You see Joe Thomas step down, and then you get big Andy Crooks running around the corner there, coming from the back side to be the lead blocker and seal that corner for him. The line steps right. The defensive end gets hooked there by number 63 for Wisconsin. On that is Craig Urbick. And then P.J. follows his blocker from the tight end, and he goes down to basically almost to the house for him, 2 yards short.
Crooks did a good job, too, as you mentioned, coming in. That's a tough block for anybody to make to come outside and see.
Especially coming from the backside like that.
First and goal. And Hill plunges through submarine style. Close, waiting for the signal. Got it. Touchdown, Wisconsin.
Those last 2 runs from P.J. shows his quickness that he has, the power that he has, and he's the full package again. We've talked about that a number of different times, but the speed to get around the corner, get down to the 2-yard line. Now at the 2-yard line, getting the ball again, being rewarded for that hard work that he's done, lowers his shoulder, drives those legs, and gets in there for the touchdown. You know, it's nice when you see a guy that's working that hard get the reward, and he's reaping the benefit right now.
They ought to get a shot. Ben, if you can, down in the truck. Zalewski's got his helmet off. They fumble the snap on the punt, and now DeBush throws it near side. This can be 2 points for Minnesota. That's the way it works. If he goes to the house, it'll be 2 points for Minnesota, and it will be as it's intercepted by Mario Reese on a bad snap from center. Ken DeBush picks it up, chases it down, throws it back to the near side, and it's intercepted and taken the length of the field by Mario Reese for 2.
You know, those are one of the things now that Brett comes to the side and he's talking to DeBush right now. Hey, you know what? You got to be smart in that. If we've got it, just lay down on the ball. Don't worry about it. You don't have to make a play. We've got control of the game. Just do the smart thing. Lay down on the ball and then let us kick off and our defense come out. It's a coaching point to make. They haven't had to worry about it. We've talked about it before. They've had good snaps, good holds, and good kicks.
So much for
got to be ready for it.
So much for extra points being boring. As I had mentioned earlier, I wasn't even talking about that extra point because they had become boring. And there they make a bad time. I was going to say
and there
to
you
get
see
a
Coach
shot.
Bielema, he's writing down something right now that address with those guys.
Well, he's the special teams coach. As the head coach, he's also the special teams coach. So he's making individual notes now rather than team notes. I wanted to get a shot. We'll have to do it at the next time we have a change in possession of Mark Zalewski with his helmet off. Because no longer is it just a mohawk, but it is a colored mohawk.
You know, there's some of the individuality.
What did Brett say yesterday? That they, you know, one of the players last week said, if we keep winning, we can do what we want. But Brett had a caveat to that.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't that they can do whatever they want. He's got very tight reins on these guys, but he wants them to have some fun. He wants them to be out there and do the things. And he was talking about the guy's hair. If we keep winning, fine, get it colored. Cut it in a circle if you want.
Do whatever you want with your hair.
But do the little things right, and that's be disciplined, that's play good football, that's mean be a good student athlete, and do the things that you're expected to do in representing the university.
It is 41-5, and Melhoff takes out a little bit of his frustration on the kickoff. It bounces around in the end zone, and finally Minnesota touches up and covers it up in the end zone. So it's a touchback, and the ball will go to the 20-yard line.
Here you see a nice stat on PJ. With his 152-yard performance today, 999 yards
in the seventh game. He's going to go over 1,000 yards, and he's a fresh. You know, the interesting thing here, and we'll talk more about this as the season wears on and into next year, but P.J. Hill is a redshirt freshman, and Lance Smith is a true freshman.
Right.
So you've got potentially a tandem that can be with you for 4 full seasons. Cupido rolls, had everybody covered up, and throws it to the Badger bench.
Man-to-man coverage again from Wisconsin secondary, getting a little bit of pressure up front, but good protection. Cupido rolls out, and the tight end who came in motions tries to sneak out, but John Rogers is out there and sees him release. Now he latches on. That's going to be the open guy. Cupido has nowhere to go, does a smart play and throwing it out of bounds. Roderick Rogers, I should say.
Roderick Rogers. Yeah, Johnny Rogers was a pretty good player in Nebraska. That's a while ago now.
Dating myself. Huh?
Cupido pitches near side, and the Badgers' defense is teeing off. Badgers' defense is having a little bit of fun right now. They've knocking Minnesota backwards. They're controlling the line of scrimmage, and they know now that Minnesota is down 36 points. They pretty much know what they've got to do.
They've had a great game plan all day long. The guys have executed down the field. He's got some lead blockers down there, but you see Langford fighting an O-lineman. Then that keeps them off your linebackers who can fight through there, make some big tackles. They're running with their shoulders square. They're staying low, and they're hitting guys and having some fun, just like you said.
It's 3rd and 8 as we tick down to 9 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Cooper got back. And now the Badgers bring everybody. Near side route. Good, quick, hot read to Eric Decker, and that's exactly what it is. Badgers show blitz too early.
Well, I don't know if it's too early or not, but again, it's just a read route that the quarterback's timing. Okay, I know they're going to come. I drop back. It's a 5-step drop, so I don't know if it's too early, but it's just a tough cover for a corner out there when you've got no help underneath.
Langford plays the safe spot. Essentially, is that what you do? You're going to give him
you'd rather have him in front instead of a big play down the field. Like, don't give him any chance for momentum. Keep him in front of you, tackle him, line up and play again.
Cupido, 6 of 15, has had better days, just 64 yards. and a long of 16 yards in the air. And under pressure, now throws deep over the middle. Rogers plays center field and drops it. Roderick Rogers, one of those on the watch list this year for the Jim Thorpe Award, but I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but he hasn't had the impact that some thought he might in his senior year.
He's just been a steady player. He hasn't done anything that's been bad. He just hadn't made the great plays like his interception return last year against Purdue. That's a tough catch for him. He's running one way. He's got to spin all the way around and adjust on the fly, but you know, he's been solid. He just hasn't had the breakout game yet.
Defensive back defending a defensive back.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Doing my best.
Second down and 10. Cupido looks quick. One way, goes the other way. Coming up is Ike. Bowls loose. It's incomplete. Ike Aguano with a big hit on Eric Decker, who they say never had control. Probably the right call, and it brings up 3rd and 10.
And that's one thing, again, we touched on in the first half. Jack making the right read. He comes out of his break very, very strong and quickly. He makes a good read, and as he comes through, he doesn't allow the receiver a chance to make a move on. He goes right through his backside like that, brings him down, and knocks the ball out. It's exactly what you want a corner to do.
True sophomore corners for Wisconsin, showing signs of having greatness to come for the next couple of years. They've been solid all this year. 3rd and 10, and Cupido throws it left side up in the air. It's caught again, but dragged down is Ernie Wheelwright. And again, this time it's Rogers who comes up, and Wisconsin's defensive backs have been sure tacklers.
Yeah, they've done a great job today. Allowing the catch, that's fine. Bring them down. Don't allow the yards after the catch. But that time Wisconsin plays a double coverage against number 84, Logan Payne. They lock everybody else down in cover 0, and then Rogers comes up, again, just like Ike Aguano did, makes a sure-handed tackle, brings him down.
Luke Swan is back deep to receive, so the lack of confidence in fielding the punt has now made for Wisconsin to change. Swan lets it bounce. They'll let it go now. It's going to roll all the way to the 5, 6, 7 yard line. 7 yard line. Swan misjudged that low line drive that pierced the wind, and it just got over the top of his head. That did a good job then to get away, but
there's a low line drive, first spiral kick I think that they've seen all day today. So and that's hard. You adjust yourself from 40 yards to 35 and trying to keep moving around and make the right play. But he did a nice job of getting away from that 58-yard punt there for Minnesota.
That's a long hit, and the Badgers will start with perhaps their worst field position of the day at their own 7 yard line. Wisconsin dominant right now. P.J. Hill 23 for 152. John Stocco is 9 of 15 for 165 yards, and it has been a dominant performance for Wisconsin. 41-5 is the score. Just a short while ago, in fact, right at the beginning of the half, on the near facade of Camp Randall Stadium, they unveiled another retired number, and this is Alan Schaefer. He's a Madison native and a 1944 graduate of West High School. He was planning to attend the Naval Academy in Annapolis, and Schaefer delayed his enrollment 1 year in order to study engineering at Wisconsin. Schaefer joined the football team in the summer of 1944 after earning all conference and all city honors as a prep center. He switched the position to quarterback and then played for Wisconsin in his freshman year. Number 83 has not been worn and now today officially unveiled on the near facade. He went on to earn a starting job at quarterback, and late in that season, in a game on November the 11th, 1944, Schaefer playing quarterback against the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Badgers rallied to tie the game. Schaefer left the field in the second half to an injury, and later that night at a Madison hospital died at 17 years old. And his number has never been worn since, and today they officially unveiled on the near facade his number and name on the Ring of Honor here at Camp Randall Stadium. Number 83, Alan Schaefer. Badgers come out offensively, and Hill picks up perhaps a yard on the left side to the 8 yard line, and it's second down.
We've watched the game, progress here halfway through the third quarter now, and Minnesota started out a little shaky on defense. They've made some adjustments now to get and contain P.J. Hill a little bit, the run game a little bit more. They're bringing more guys in the box. Their safeties are playing up a little bit closer to try and cut down those lanes that he's been running through. But PJ, again, is still racking up some yardage. You know, even though that time was 1, he gets the ball again. He goes for 3 and 4, and he's just chunking away.
Second down and 9 yards. Ball marked at the 8. Stocko calls for motion. Hill the lone setback. PJ gets it on the cutback and into the secondary and dragging a tackler for a first down. Minnesota, you just mentioned it, seemed to have brought an extra defender into the box in the second quarter and to start the third, but the Badgers gassed him with 2 big plays to the tight end, and now they've got to be a little bit more honest.
Well, it puts them back. I think that's exactly right. They got to play more honest defense there. PJ cut back actually from where he was going that time, and they over pursued, so it left an open crease for him to run through. Lance Smith in the game replacing PJ right now.
Smith has carried it 3 times on the day for 6 yards, and he's the lone setback on a first down play. Stocko play actions to Lance Smith. And to the right side, laying out, and it's incomplete. Minton says he had it, but the side official says no. You know, I thought it was interesting yesterday when Brett Bielema said that they have a smaller package for Travis Beckham and a smaller package for Lance Smith to allow them to earn their spots in. There's a replay on the look, and I think that's
pretty close. I would say
now
that's a catch, too.
They can review that right next door.
Yeah, and they'll take their time trying to go through it to line up again and see what happens. But he didn't argue a whole lot, but I tell you, that look right there sure made it look like a catch. When he hit the ground, it looked like his left hand was under the ball protecting it.
Now, this is one of those jobs where we had a conversation with a replay official last week. You would think that they would take their time and get this one right, and they didn't. I think that's a failure on the replay system here. Smith with a good job of making the first guy miss. I know that the score is 41-5,
right,
but that's a reviewable play, and they should take their time to get it right.
Yeah, you know, and that's something that I think the coaches address too. If you're going to have it, fine, let's use it, and these guys can call it at any time. If they want to review a play, just buzz down there, stop it. They can take, 30 seconds or 3 minutes. It doesn't really matter as long as they get the call right. I think that's what the coaches are concerned about, is use it, but let's make the right call.
41-5. What types of things is Wisconsin going to work on the remainder of this game? It's somewhat a moot point as far as the context of the game. Maybe it's out of contention, and you can put it in the win column, and maybe not. You never know. Strange game. Stocko steps up, he's sacked, and he'll go down to the 21-yard line. And it hasn't happened much, but Wisconsin is going to have to punt the football for just the second time today.
I think some of the stuff that they're going to work on now is obviously come to the sideline now after getting a quarterback sack, not getting a first down, even though you're deep in your territory. Those are situational things that they need to correct and get taken care of for next week and the games ahead.
Wisconsin will take to the road next week at Purdue. DeBush with a snap. Gets off a wobbler, going to need a good roll on this, and it doesn't take one. Out at the 49-yard line, and DeBush has had 2 punts today, and not at all Ken DeBush-like. That one's 30 yards, so on his 2 punts today, he's averaged 34 yards, which is more than 10 yards below his average.
Yeah, and that's just one thing he's getting talked to again by Coach Bielema. Hey, you got to get your head in the game. You got to be ready. Keep kicking into the net down there. Keep yourself warm so if and when you're called upon, you do what you do so well, and that's what we brought you to do, kick the football.
Minnesota comes quickly to the offensive line, sensing an opportunity. At their own 49, Cupido pitches left. That's Penix, and he'll get through one layer, but nothing else. In fact, no gain on the play, 2nd and 10.
Wisconsin's been running a lot more man coverage here in the second half to allow those front 7, front 8 guys to really come downhill hard, stop the run, force them into a passing situation, and then they continue to cover downfield. But they're doing a good job executing there and getting into penetration across the line of scrimmage.
Wisconsin began the day as the 25th ranked team in the Associated Press and have been impressive today so far against Minnesota. Throw right side flat, caught, and now thrown back. Again, Ike Iguanu just absolutely dead solid in his tackling.
Yeah, and the one thing that he's doing is he's allowing the catch. Again, that's fine. He read the route, he comes up and he goes through the receiver, and that's what they like about Ike, is he's strong, he's physical, but when he wraps up, he grabs cloth. He doesn't allow the guys to shake out of it and go downfield for yards after they catch, but he's big, he's strong, and he's a guy that they're starting to rely on. He's going to be the lockdown corner.
He's 6'1", 203. He's bigger than some might think.
Oh, yeah. And he's physical. Some guys are big, but they're not physical. He likes to hit.
Third down play, Cupido steps up underneath, incomplete, shy of the route, and it will bring up a fourth down decision for Minnesota. Trailing by 36 points with 3.5 minutes to play in the third, and they run out the punt team.
And Joe Stelmacher was upset. He slipped on that play. He basically played a spy coverage. He's sitting in the middle of the field looking for any crossing route. He read it, he slipped. Had he stayed on his feet, I think he had a chance in an interception.
Well, he got one of those last week where he kind of jumped a little route into the flat and took it to the end zone. Again, Luke Swan deep to receive.
See if he can judge the wind here a little bit better on this next kick.
Badgers play a punt safe, only 4 up on the line of scrimmage to rush the punter. And it's a end over end, high ball to the 15, and Swan will take it back to the 20.
Don't keep dancing around because that allows the defense, the pursuit to come over. And again, good play action. Everybody going to the left. The linemen go that way and the defense goes that way. And he's got to secure the football. Again, a little love tap knocked that out, and you cannot have that in the open field.
So Minnesota goes quick. Again, quickly to the line of scrimmage. Badgers finally do get set in Minnesota at the 22-yard line. Hands off left side, Penix. Again, nothing there. Badger front seven has done an outstanding job all day of taking away the run. I shouldn't say all day, after the first quarter.
Right, after the first quarter, they flat out dominated. They got creased there early in the game, but they're playing low. They're playing with their shoulders square. They're getting upfield, and so what they end up doing is they force the guy to block from the side. It allows a cutback that the backside guys, the linebacker and the defensive end that would hit the cutback, are there waiting for it, and there's no place to go.
Wisconsin has fumbled the ball 3 times today. That's the first time they've lost one. Left side, Cupido underneath, Casillas on the hit, and he drags down the receiver at about the 14-yard line. Spaeth again, the tight end. Casillas on the tackle, and it will be 3rd and 2.
Kurt Warren is in there as well. They actually dropped him back into his zone coverage. They blitz a linebacker, and then they take a D lineman and take him off the ball. And he doesn't run as well as what a linebacker does, but Casillas is fast enough, he's strong enough, and he covers well. Brought him down, and now they line up for a 3rd and short.
Minnesota in the red zone, 21 of 26 this year. 21 scores, 17 of those touchdowns. And they'll fake the reverse. Penix gets it up the middle, and he will get the first down to the 11.
Number 52, Elijah Hodge, is in there now, and so they're starting to get some substitutions, and those guys got to get ready to play, stay low. Casillas read it, Hodge read it. They just took a little outside angle instead of coming upfield, and that left enough of a crease for them to get the first down.
Just the second 3rd down conversion on the day for Minnesota, now 2 of 10. And they'll have it at the 11-yard line, approaching 1 minute to play in the third. Penix, inside the 10 and to the 8-yard line. They'll have a chance to mark a first down if they get it inside the 1-yard line.
Yeah, and there you see Hodge takes a much better job coming straight upfield as an inside backer does, knifing through the legs. He just needs to wrap up and grab cloth so he can't fall forward for another 2 yards. But, you know, that 3rd down conversion, 2 out of 10, that's some tremendous defense.
Hodge is a 6'1", 217 freshman whose older brother, Abdul, played at Iowa and now plays for the Green Bay Packers. Cupido hands off to Penix, and he'll gain the 4-yard line as they find some room to run in the middle of the Badgers' defense, at least here in the latter portion of the 3rd quarter. Minnesota likely to allow the clock to run out here in the 3rd. And I don't know how wise that is to want to take it to the other end and run into the student section.
Yeah,
and they don't get to play, but they're pretty loud.
Yeah, they get after it, and I think everybody would get on top of them here. This is a place to score right now if they get the playoff in time.
And I think that's what they're trying to do as the clock runs with 1 second. Just to get it off. Penix up the middle. He won't get the first down. And now they're going to have a 4th down into that student section. And we'll see what decision that Glenn Mason has to make. He'll have some time to make it as we have come to the end of the 3rd quarter. And a good 3rd quarter for the Wisconsin Badgers, outscoring Minnesota 13-2. At the end of 3, it is Wisconsin 41, Minnesota 5. This is Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors, supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
Well, that is just fun, isn't it?
I don't know if it gets much better than that.
That never gets old. That never gets old. And Wisconsin is looking again for a win here today. The Badgers at home have been dominant. They are 14-1 since the start of the 2004 season at home. Game statistics lopsided.
They're going for it right here.
4th and 2. They can get a first down right at the 1-yard line. Cupido with an eye backfield. Brings a man in motion. Gonna reverse it, gonna fake it and hold it and throw it. Nobody home. Incomplete, and a flag comes.
Oh, boy, I don't know about that one.
I was waiting for the flag to see if they would throw it. It will go against DeAndre Levy, and they'll call that pass interference. And I'm not so sure about that. I don't know, you're a defensive back, so as we see this again, they're going to discuss it, by the way, to see if it's a catchable ball.
The penalty occurred in the end zone. By rule, it'll be spotted at the 2-yard line, 1st and goal.
What do you think, Nelly?
You know, when I saw it, one of two things. Coach is saying it's uncatchable. I'm not so sure it was had he released off there, but he's got good coverage on him. He's outside. He releases. He tries to go out there, and I don't know if we'll see it, but the receiver runs into him. He's jumping up there. I don't think he did anything that would have warranted. He's trying to go for the football. He didn't do that. It's questionable. It for sure looked uncatchable, though, by looking at that last angle.
I think it's a bad call in the heat of the moment. I understand how he throws the flag, but I think as they looked at it, it would be a bad call, and it's a touchdown by Penix on the play right after the interference, and Wisconsin has given up a touchdown for the first time today, and that's a point of pride for this Badger defense, and they're upset and disappointed, although the game may be in hand.
Right.
They didn't want to give up points.
Well, that on defense, that's kind of what you play for. You got to pitch in a shutout right now and doing some good things, but I tell you, it's as far as touchdowns, I guess, they've allowed a field goal, but they're doing a lot of good things, and that's what the coaches will do now when they come to the sideline. Hey, you know what? They got one that got handed to them because of a bad call, and you guys are still playing hard. Stay aggressive. Let's get the job done next time we get out in the field.
Well, the extra point is good, and it's 41-12, and there you see the touchdown run. Penix off the right side just did get the boundary. Yeah. And now you wonder, with the game, with just 11 seconds gone by in the 4th quarter, is Minnesota playing to play, or are they going to put their special teams unit out here and try and recover an onside kick?
That's a good question. I don't know if I would do that as dominant as Wisconsin's offense been against you. Kick the ball deep, force them to go the length of the field, especially after what you did this last series. You shut them down, you forced a punt, drove down, you got a touchdown. Kick the ball away and do a lot of the good things that you've been doing all day long, but now see if you can put 2 back-to-back.
Well, that's the hands team that is on the Badgers sideline. As far as their receiving unit, we'll see what Brett Bielema runs out there in special teams.
And that's a smart move on his part. Get your guys who are used to handling a football out there. Don't do anything fancy. Make sure the ball is kicked for your front line. If it is, get downfield, get a body on a body, and then get as many yards as you can.
You see Wisconsin's schedule on the road at Purdue next Saturday. That's an 11 o'clock kickoff in West Lafayette. Then home on October the 28th, Halloween weekend, against Illinois. Then it's home against Penn State. The Nittany Lions and Joe Paterno come into Madison on November the 4th. And then the last Big Ten game of the year is on the road at Iowa before Buffalo comes to town for a non-conference game to wrap up the season on November the 18th.
You look at their entire schedule. Michigan is probably the toughest team, obviously, throughout there, but it's sure played into the hands of the Badgers. They've got things going. They're playing well. They've got some teams that are going to come up that aren't as solid. The next big game really for them should be Penn State, and that's at home.
Yeah, a lot of people looked at this once Wisconsin got by. You could see what they were going to do on the road against Indiana and then home against Northwestern. We'll see what they're going to do here in the kickoff. Then I want to get back to that point.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of speculation or talk that this is essentially a 2-game season. We'll talk about that in just a second. See what Minnesota does here on the kickoff, trailing 41-12. And they will pooch it high and short, coming down at the 15-yard line and throw a seam. Jarvis Minton to the 40-yard line. Oh, he caught it at full speed and nearly ran through the Minnesota wave without getting touched.
Yeah, and he was close. Had they not closed the gap or at least got an arm on him, I think he was off to the races. But that's exactly what the punt returners are trying to do, catch us in the full stride and full sprint and get upfield. But Jarvis judged that well and got through there nicely.
Concept of a 2-game season.
Yep.
Penn State here and Iowa on the road. That's for us to talk about because players and coaches would never go there.
Right, and they won't. You know, they got to play. Brett's whole thing is 1-0, 1-0, and they focus on the next game. But that is what a lot of people will talk about. Can they get through both of those undefeated?
Wisconsin and John Stocco at the line of scrimmage now, changing the play call at the line as he sees something that he thinks he might be able to take advantage of. Lance Smith dashing off the near side, waiting for blockers, cuts it back up and gains the midfield strike. It's nearly 10 yards and about a yard short of the first down. So that all still comes back to how good is Wisconsin as they hold on to win here today. If indeed they do, they would be 3-1 in the league, 6-1 overall. I think next week is a significant test because they've only been on the road against Michigan and Indiana, one very good, one very bad, and now Purdue kind of in that same stratus level as Wisconsin, second-tier Big Ten. Maybe Wisconsin's better than that, maybe not, but we'll find out next week.
Yeah, and Purdue's got some athletes. They're dangerous. They're a lot like Minnesota. You allow them to hang around long enough, they got the ability to beat you without question.
Lance Smith looking for something, dancing around. Oh, is he quick? Gains the 45 and a first down.
You know, I always kind of cringe when it's 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, anything short yardage like that. You see the running back dancing from side to side, get upfield, but every move that he made dancing there with those quick feet was moving forward. Now he's side to side and shoots up through the hole and recognizes something that nobody else has seen, lowers his shoulder and gets the job done. That's just an individual effort to get the first down. Great run.
Well, he's an exciting back. We haven't seen a ton of him, but we have a lot of time ahead of us yet to watch Lance Smith. He is a true freshman. And now off the left side, darting back in, and he'll gain the 38-yard line. And now the offensive line begins to take its toll, too. Dajuan Rowan's going to come on for Hill, and or rather for Lance Smith. And
I think Hill's day is done.
Hill's
he's been enjoying and lounging back on the sidelines there, but you know, what a great day for him. 25 attempts, 164 yards, over 1,000 yards rushing for the season, 2 TDs. I mean, as a redshirt freshman producing as he's done all year long, man, what a talent to have coming back for your ball club.
Well, and again, it goes back to Wisconsin, people wondering what they would be able to do offensively this year. Those questions have been answered. Dajuan Rowan, right side, stacked up near the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up a 3rd and 4.
One thing I've noticed here in the second half, too, you know, we talked a little bit about Rentmeester coming off. What they've done is they've kept Andy Crooks in there, and instead of bringing in another fullback and Josh Neal, who had at the end of the first half, they've moved Crooks back off his tight end position back to the fullback position, and which is good. Now you've got a 3rd backup at fullback that can also catch a football, that can run routes, that can line up in tight end. You don't have to change personnel. Makes it hard on a defense to know what the offense of play or offensive formation that you're going to be in because you have the same personnel.
Wisconsin is 4 of 8 on 3rd down. This is a 3rd and 3 inside of 11.5 minutes to play in the game. Off the right edge, pressure. Stocco with a good throw and a great catch by Minton. Well, John Stocco has been taken for granted here by Badger fans for the last couple of years. But, boy, he is really good.
Man, I tell you, he's the guy the first year was shaky. He had some tough reads. He had some guys around him that he couldn't find or didn't check down to. Now he's so comfortable and confident in the pocket. Paul Christ has done a great job, the offensive coordinator, putting in the game plan into his head and understanding what needs to happen and where the openings are going to be based on what the defense gets you. And he's finding those holes and doing it effortlessly.
That's a 17-yard throw to Jarvis Minton, who now has 2 catches for 30 yards. Up the middle, taken down is Nate Smith.
You know, and Lance actually got hit because of the block that Beckham made. Beckham was cracking down, and Lance didn't see it coming from the side. Instead of cutting outside around that, he just ran right up into the hole, and Beckham drilled this guy. But I tell you, that's the reason that play got made, not for anything else. It wasn't a great tackle or great defensive play. It was your blocker knocking his own guy into you.
Well, and that's the advantage of having Lance Smith get significant playing time here in the second half in a blowout, because you never can simulate real bullets.
Yeah, it's the vision that he's got to have and recognize in the blink of an eye.
It is 2nd and 11, and Stocko will hand to Smith on a counter left side. Nice block by Crooks. Darts through the hole and gains the 14-yard line.
Very similar run that he had last week against Northwestern, where he spun out and scored a touchdown, but this time he knew he couldn't get that. The defensive player had an angle on him. He lowers his shoulder and drives forward for positive yardage, but he is quick, and he's getting the job done out there right now. But as he gets more and more experience and runs behind a big offensive line, you know, he's got Joe Thomas out there, and
Joe's
probably
pretty
a
good.
person to run around with that guy.
Yeah, Joe's pretty good. That's the word on the street.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas back for a season in which he didn't plan on playing college football this year, but a defensive play against Auburn. And now Smith on the right side, inside the 10 to the 4-yard line. Pretty run by Lance Smith. And, you know, I was talking about Joe Thomas, didn't plan on coming back this year, plays defense in the Auburn game, in the bowl game, Capital One last year, and blows out his knee and has to come back.
And it wasn't even in contact. I think that's the hard part that it happened. He was just running to cover down on a play, and for whatever reason, it gave way on him. But he worked his tail off in the offseason. Great surgeons here from UW that took care of him. He followed the game plan as far as his rehabilitation to the letter, and that's the reason he's having another great year this year.
Let's see if they go over the top of Joe Thomas here. 1st and goal, ball at the 4-yard line, and they're going to throw it. Stocko looks to the end zone, right corner. Beckham, good catch, touchdown!
Finding his main guy of the day, Travis Beckham, 5 catches.
Well, he's in the alley down there. He's halfway down to the media room and slow to get up. That's concrete down there in that pathway. See the shot.
Make sure he goes back to the right huddle here now. What a heck of a day that he's had. 2nd touchdown, 5 catches now, about probably 120 yards receiving. Big target against Stocko, throwing the ball right on the money where only he can catch it, only his player can catch it, and great job of securing it, and then getting your foot down inside the out-of-bounds line.
Well, now we have to watch this, because, again, when you create doubt for further in the season, you want to make a good snap and have a good hold and a good kick here to erase the memory of the last one.
Yep.
Reinforce the positives. It is Melhoff to kick it. Snap is good, hold is good, and the kick is good. So recovering, Steven Johnson is the long snapper, the direct snapper on punts and extra points and field goals. And that time he connects solidly, and the Badgers add the extra point, and it's 48-12. That's a good throw, because I didn't think he was that wide open, but Stocko saw inside position and threw it to the right spot.
He did. It was good play action. Anytime on the goal line you get play action, it just freezes those linebackers for a split second, and then you see him go up and get it. Bobbled it first, caught it, and was able to get his left foot down in again, and as he rolls out, I think he runs into the concrete there. Probably enjoying a little celebration with the fans leaning over the fence there with him.
I don't know if we could see it again, Ben, but, you know, one of the things that coaches have talked about with Lance Smith is assignments.
Right.
And Lance Smith picks up a defensive end here that is his responsibility, but he does it well, and that allows John to see his receiver, and they'll talk about this in films.
Oh, yeah. They'll point out the positive things, especially with a true freshman, understanding what he needs to do and what his role is. He comes up very patient and does a simple cut block, gets down in the legs, gets him off his feet, and then he's got no chance to get to Stocko, and that gives him the time to throw the ball. See it better even here as he comes off the edge. Smith goes down, takes him out. And that makes it easy for his offensive linemen, too, that are coming over there. Vanden Heuvel is waiting for that guy to come off the block with Smith, and Smith takes him out. Now he can go help somebody else.
Well, Travis Beckham is establishing as just a sophomore the ability to be a big-time target for the next couple of years. And he's looked awfully good for a guy that played defensive end and linebacker a year ago. Now he's stepped into the tight end role and has embraced it.
Well, I think in this offense, you got to have a tight end that can be a go-to guy. We saw it in years past, and I think it's going to be in the future here, too. The old golden rodent
really
there,
nice, isn't it? I love that. It is so good.
That was good. Everybody's getting into it here today, huh?
And John's not done. He wants to throw a little bit more on the sideline. He's only been able to put the ball up 19 times today, so he wants a few more opportunities.
He's out there warming up Tyler Donovan, so building a little relationship, getting your backup ready to go, and Stocco, waited for his time to be out there. He knows that next year when he's done and gone, they got to have somebody ready to go. And Donovan's an athletic guy. He's going to be challenged in the offseason. There's no question, but he's run the offense a couple different times, and he's in-state kid, which is good to see out here as well. Yeah,
Tyler Donovan is a junior, and Alan Everidge is the odds-on favorite to be the quarterback next year, but Tyler Donovan will be in the hunt. So will Dustin Shear, and Donovan, it appears, with just under 9 minutes to go here, is going to get some opportunity at the end of this one. The last two Badger quarterbacks that have been starters here are in the NFL as backups.
Yep.
Is John Stocco an NFL caliber quarterback?
Well, I think it'd be very similar to Sorgi and the Ballinger, who we saw earlier today. Yeah, he's smart. He knows what's supposed to happen. He throws a good ball. He's got the package, I think, to be a backup. Can he be a starter? I don't know about that, at least in the first couple years, because there's so much to learn at that level. But he definitely has the skill and ability to go up there and compete for a job, that's for sure.
Take just a minute to remind you of our next telecast here on Wisconsin Public Television. It comes up 2 weeks from tonight when the Fighting Illini from Champaign squirrel their way up through northern Illinois, across the border, paying tolls on the way to take on the Badgers. Saturday, October the 28th, and our coverage on Wisconsin Public Television is 10:30, 2 weeks from tonight. Underneath to the crossing wideout. Payne makes the catch, and he's brought down by Elijah Hodge. It's a pickup of about 3 on first down.
This is hard, Mike, here. When you're down 48-12, you're still trying to scratch and claw your way into the ball game, but 8 minutes left on the clock, and it's much like at Indiana. Wisconsin's got to keep coming at them, forcing to play some football, and get some good practice time out of it.
Well, they swing it out to the backfield, and catching it underneath is Alex Daniels, and coming up is DeAndre Levy to make the tackle. We also see Kim Royston out on the field, a freshman defensive back. I talked yesterday when we were in talking with Brett about his 2 senior safeties.
Right.
He's got Roderick Rogers and Joe Stellmacher back there as seniors, and the 2 backups, Hampton and White, at both safety positions are seniors.
Right. And
can you move corners?
Well, you can move corners, but I think they've got some young guys that can come in there. The safety spot is a good position to be in to learn the defense and to make some calls. And then if they can go between corner and safety, it's a good place to be to learn.
Cupido puts it on the deck. They're going to call him down. And he's short of the first down, too. So Cupido flushed out, runs it towards the near sideline. Ball came out, but the quarterback was down before the ball came loose. It is a 4th down here, 4th and about a yard as the ball is marked at the 29. Cupido's had a tough day. Brian Cupido, a 5th-year senior, 11 of 23 for just 80 yards. And they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Number 4, Johnny White's coming in to get off Joe Stellmacher there, and who's had a great game. But Johnny White, another senior guy like you mentioned, comes in, pretty good ball player in his own right.
Hodge landed on Cupido pretty hard there too. Minnesota will go for it on 4th down. It's 4th and a yard. 6:25 to play in the 4th. And Cupido hands it to the deep back outside of the 30, and they'll pick up the first down.
Pretty simple play call there. Alex Daniels, a sophomore running back, big guy, gets the football, knows what he needs for a first down, and just plunges over the line to get the job done.
Minnesota has 97 yards rushing, 80 yards passing, for 174 is the total on the screen. About 177 yards of offense right now with 6 minutes to play in the ball. Cupido left side looking for his wide out. Ernie wheel right, just wide of the mark and incomplete. against the Badgers sideline.
Kim Royston, number 32 on coverage there, a freshman coming in, doing a good job and watching a lot for what he can do and trying to keep that thing right there. It's covered up, but that's where the axe is. And the Wisconsin guys, as the clock runs down, they're going to get more and more excited to get that thing out of the case.
Well,
run around the field and celebrate with people.
And there's only one thing better than the long run to the other sideline to retrieve the axe, and that's the short run to your own sideline to keep it.
You know, when you look at these series, Minnesota, when you've been up there in the Dome, there's been some crazy games up there the last couple of years. Down here at Camp Randall, it's been pretty much one lopsided in Wisconsin favor, and that's protecting your house and getting the job done. They're doing it again today.
Royston comes up and wraps up, and he's learning from his just slightly older brethren in the backfield because, again, a very solid tackle by the corner coming up on a wideout in open field. There's nothing else there.
And Kerry Cooks was a defensive back for the Iowa Hawkeyes, who's a defensive secondary coach, was an aggressive ball player in his own right, and I'm sure he's teaching those same things to these guys down in the field.
It's a third down again, 3rd and 5. Cupido short drop, quick slant, left side, ball caught by Wheelwright, and he has the first down at the 46. Royston on the tackle.
Makes it a tough coverage there. Hodge sees one slant, goes running at that one, but they run a double slant from the split receiver and the slot receiver, and then they get the ball out to the wide guy, and Hodge is just upfield a little bit too much. Made it an easy throw for Cupido. And
it was Rogers on the tackle instead of Royston. Rogers still on the field as one of the Badgers' senior safeties. It's a first down for Minnesota inside of 5 minutes to play, and the ball is at their own 45-yard line. Cupido steps up on a deep drop, throwing deep towards the left sideline. Rogers had it. Royston gets it.
I think Roderick right now is kicking himself. He had a pick earlier in the game. This one had his chance at a second one. He's happy that his teammate got it, but boy, is that frustrating when you get there. But he started out 15 yards deep playing free safety, simple read on the quarterback, watching where Cupido goes. You see that left shoulder go up in the air, you know it's going to be a deep throw. Great job of coming over from center field, making the play. Even though he didn't get the pick, he's the one who caused the interception.
Well, and the bad day for Cupido continues. It's his first interception on the day, and Wisconsin will have the ball inside their own 25-yard line. Kim Royston, his first career interception, courtesy of the senior. So the senior helps out the freshman.
Brotherly love, just like you said, right?
Yeah, working on. They're on the same team.
That's the old-fashioned tit drill.
Yeah, it's hard to simulate that one. Earlier I mentioned or asked you whether you thought John Stocco might be a quarterback that could play in the NFL. I don't think a lot of people thought that Brooks Bollinger was, and he is. Been a backup for the New York Jets, and because of injuries, had a lot of time on the field last year. Now he's a backup with Minnesota. Sorgi has been in Indianapolis, a backup, which means he doesn't get to play because Peyton Manning doesn't leave the field. But how about John Stocco? You mentioned it earlier. You thought he could have a chance to play at the next level.
Yeah, well, you know, he's solid, and he's had 3 years of solid performance, too. He's been able to complete passes, tough passes. His first year was a question mark only because he hadn't been out there. It's a difficult offense to learn. As he's gotten older and older, as junior and senior, he's really elevated his game. He's become a leader, which you have to have as a quarterback. Takes command of the huddle. He's not a screaming or yeller, and at the NFL level, you don't need to be. You've got the athletes out there that know exactly what they're doing. He just need to direct the guys, give them the chance to get in the right situation, and he throws a good ball on the timing routes, and that's a lot in the NFL of what those things are. They make a break, the ball's got to be there, and he can do that.
Well, that's a mock-up.
That's a pretty sad mock-up.
It's a bad mock-up. Well, it's a Badger making a mock-up. You know, it's not human tools working there. So it's kind of a bad mock-up, but it's the mock-up. The real axe is still under wraps on the Badger sideline. They'll retain it as we get inside of 5 minutes now. 4:40 to play in a ball game, and Stocco has taken a seat, and it is now Tyler Donovan who hands to Lance Smith. And Smith is thrown down. It's not even Smith. They've gone deeper. All right, we got to go to the depth chart deeper than we have on paper.
Number 27, Jerry Butler. He's a 5'9", 183-pound sophomore from Philadelphia.
That's his first playing time this year. He's not touched the football. So Butler gets a carry and gets taken down, and the Badgers have gone very deep on the bench, and that's the nice thing about a game like this is you can go just as deep as you want to. The game is well in hand. Donovan again to Butler. Butler on the near side, ball loose on the deck. Minnesota picks it up, takes a knee at the 17-yard line. So that's the last thing you want to have happen when you get a youngster out on the field for the first time. You know, he hadn't had a chance, and he gets a chance here and has the ball come loose.
And that's the expectation of the coaches. When your opportunity comes up, when you're in the game, you got to make some plays, and you got to be ready to do it. He's out there running, tries to make some plays, and you could see the ball actually squirting out of there before he even got hit. You got to tuck that away. If you don't have the football, it's not going to do you any good. You got to secure that first.
Yeah,
he's a little upset too.
Not very happy about it. He'll get more chances as time goes on. Chance to prove himself, but he failed in that one. And the run goes off the right side and down to the 11-yard line. Alex Daniels, the sophomore from Columbus.
Daniels, who's 6'3", 255 pounds. I tell you, that's a lot of meat coming at you too. Unlike PJ, he's a little bit taller, but that's some beef coming at you. You're not ready to tackle that. He'll hurt you.
The negative here from a team perspective, which is where it all has to be held, is that it puts Minnesota in a position to score, and the Badger defense has pride, and they don't want to give up points.
You know, now it's a situation. Look at 3 minutes left in the game. There's got to be some pride coming into play and wrapping up tackles and making some things get done like that. Those are good plays right there. Puts them in 3rd and short. You can kind of understand what's going to happen. Do they take a shot to the end zone? Maybe. Will they go for the first down? Absolutely. Then they got short yardage for the touchdown to go. It would be about first, and if they barely get the first down, 1st and goal from the 6. So there's a lot of things that can be coached up here, and a lot of situations these young players are getting right now for in the future, that if somebody does go down or their years to come in 2007, 2008, they've been in the situation. It's not something new for them.
3rd down and 3, an eye backfield and a receiver either side for Cupido. Give it to the tailback coming up, and he will be held short of the first down. So the Badgers do stiffen, and Minnesota can either elect to try for the 3 points here and kick a field goal, trailing 48-12, or they'll send out the extra tight end and go for it on 4th down again, and it is 4th and a yard and a half. Minnesota is 1 for 1 on 4th down today, and they will try it again.
And this is where the defense has to be careful now. They've got some young, inexperienced guys in there. They got to be careful of the play action. They don't get caught up in that for an easy pass and catch for a touchdown.
Cupido brings him in motion, and he will keep it on the left side. Coverage is good, and it's incomplete. What a nice play in the secondary. Jack Ikaguanu had great coverage, knocked it away, and the Badger defense takes Butler off the hook.
There you see a starter for the game again. His closing speed, seeing the quarterback, reading the play action. Again, everybody goes. They come in motion, and everybody comes up, sees the run, and now it's a hidden bootleg. It's just naked. He's out there trying to throw it. Throws a hard ball, but Jack's closing speed, you saw right at the end to get the hand in front, keep the backhand off the shoulder for no flag. Tremendous play and way to secure what he can do, get the job done in the back end.
Tyler Donovan and the Badgers come back out on the field. Lance Smith will be the tailback on this trip out. So the Badgers take over their own 9-yard line, and Donovan gives it to Smith off the left side. Flag on the play. They'll race to the corner and be taken out of bounds at the 17. But there's a flag back behind the line of scrimmage, and line judge comes from the side, and that may just have been offside against Minnesota, lined up in the neutral zone.
Illegal formation, only 6 players on the line of scrimmage.
Huh.
Half the distance to the goal.
I was wrong.
First down.
I wasn't going to question.
They were looking. The line judge was talking to Brett, and I thought it was just to say, you know, we're not going to take that penalty. But he was explaining to Brett, who wasn't on the line of scrimmage. Scott?
Yeah, I'm trying to see that. I don't see where they're calling that. It looks like everybody's on there, unless there's a wideout on the outside there that was off the screen. But that looked like a good formation to me.
All right. That's why I went, I didn't see it. 1:13 to play, and the Badgers back up to 1st and 15. And Wisconsin, with the win, is going to move in the Big Ten to 3-1. And this is the best play of the game for a coach. Take a knee. 6-1, the Wisconsin Badgers are overall. 3-1 in the Big Ten, and on the road to Purdue to meet the Boilermakers. And there's the crowd around the Axe. I don't know what their rule is on the sideline. I suppose you cannot unveil, unwrap, or otherwise brandish the Axe before the clock has reached 0.
I'm sure there's a few things that the guys are there talking about. Don't touch it. Don't do anything to jinx this thing. Even though it's well in hand. But
see Zalewski's hair? Look at it, 41. See Zalewski's hair? Now that's a good look. Nelly, that's something you could pull off.
I think I'd have to get approval from my athlete.
Just come home that day once. Well, just one day, come home.
I'll do it the day after you do it.
I can't do that. I'm on radio. There we go. There's the Axe. This game is going to come to a close, and the Axe stays in Madison with a 48-12 thrashing of the Golden Gophers here at Camp Randall Stadium. And Wisconsin improves to 15-1 at home since the start of the 04 year.
Mike, another solid performance from all phases. Little shaky in the special teams, but I think as far as field position, putting Minnesota in situations where they had to go the length of the field to score, they did a great job. Guys were executing. Young guys got in there, which again is only going to be a benefit through the end of this season and years to come. Well,
John Stocco got to start with the Axe. He's a captain and a fifth-year senior and from Richfield, Minnesota. That's a good feeling.
I think the Minnesota guys and Wisconsin guys for the Minnesota ball club, there's no reason you got to play this game up. It's war and it's down in the trenches and you got to get the job done. And luckily for Wisconsin, they executed well today and did that.
Well, Minnesota was playing for the opportunity to keep their bowl opportunities alive. They're not dead yet, but they are on life support, whereas Wisconsin has now, as of today, become bowl eligible. I think that was a foregone conclusion. Nonetheless, it is the case. And the Badgers win it in dramatic rout fashion today, rather easily against Minnesota. Might say quite a bit about this Wisconsin football team. They beat Minnesota by a final score of 48-12. Once again, outstanding work in the truck and up in the booth today. Appreciate all of the work here at Camp Reno, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks. Don't forget to tune in again in next week as the Badger hockey team skates into another season of Wisconsin hockey on public television. Rob Bogle and Ron Vincent will once again call the action as the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth take on the reigning national champion Wisconsin Badgers. That's next Saturday, October the 21st at 10:30, and only on Wisconsin public television. For Scott Nelson, I'm Mike Heller. Once again, the final score, the Badgers 48 and Minnesota 12. This has been Badger football on Wisconsin public television.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors supporting 750 Badger student athletes.